What is up, everybody? Welcome to Digital Bonfire. Hair Camp is back. That's right. We have missed each and every one of you, and we want to see your faces so badly. Welcome to our Digital Bonfire online event. Today, we're glad that you're here. Thank you so much for tuning in from your couch, maybe from your phone, from your salon, wherever you're at. We see you and we thank you for being here. We've got 3 hours of unbelievable education coming at you live today. We are currently here at Hair Camp HQ, which is the Hair Camp studio in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the Midwest, bringing you all the best education to make you a better stylist, to encourage you as a person, and to let you know that you can do amazing things. That's right, you can. That's what today's all about, is reminding you of that truth, of who you are, and stepping into that. That's right. So we've got a ton of amazing education lined up today. It's going to be popping off. We've got color, we've got cut, and we want to introduce you guys to some of our Hair Camp educators that make the magic happen for us, whether it's on your screen or at Hair Camp in person. I know you guys know a little bit about our brand, but let me tell you more. My name is Sam Hills, and I am the Hair Camp director. I'm the guy in charge of this place. And what I want to do is I want to connect hair, hearts, and people, and I want to bring them together in powerful ways. Because we know that when we connect with those things, when we can tap into here and here and here, that we can learn and grow in ways that we didn't even know was imagined, or we didn't even know we could imagine. And so I'm excited because that's what Hair Camp is all about. It's about community. It's about kick butt education. It's about bringing you inspiration. It's about creativity. It's about calling those things out and you walking into them. So that's what today is, our Digital Bonfire. We've got tons of great education. We've got commercials that are going to talk about what we do as a brand and some of the exciting stuff that we have coming up for this next year. One of the ways that you know us is you know us as Hair Camp. Hair Camp is an event for hairstylists that happens in the Midwest, right outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, every year, every spring. And for the past 2 years, we've been in hibernation because of COVID, right? You know it, we know it, but guess what, baby? We are back and we are so excited. And that's what today is about launching us into the spring. So I want you to get your Google Cal out right now. I want to get you, if you're an old school person, get out your pen and paper. April 29th, 2022, Hair Camp Midwest is coming at you. That's right. Tickets as of today, as of right now, during this event are live. So if you've ever wanted to be a part of it, go to our website. If you're watching from there, click there. Our tickets for Hair Camp Midwest are live. Amazing. We want you there. All the info that you need about what the event is about what the event is, it's all there. If you've got questions, we've got customer service staff waiting on hand to answer those for you. Send us an email. Follow us on haircamp.co on Instagram. We'd love to be your friend and your buddy online, but more so, we want to be your friend in person. Let me give you guys a little taste of who Hair Camp is, showing you a recap video from our event in 2019. If that looks like something you want to be a part of, if that gets you excited, there's so much more we've got planned. In 2022, we will be getting together on April 29th through May 2nd and be bringing you all the best that Hair Camp has to offer from educators across the country and really across the globe. We've got some exciting stuff planned for you. Again, follow along on Instagram, follow along on our website. We've got all the info there for you to any of your questions that you may have. Listen, I don't want to wait much longer. I want to dive right in today because we've got friends standing by ready to teach us some amazing things. I wanted to introduce you to two friends. The two friends that I want to introduce you to is Miss Jolie and Meg Moran. These gals are unbelievable. They are up in Connecticut. They own a salon there called Rock and Soul, and they're going to be coming to us live today, teaching us some amazing color technique. So without further ado, let's get them on the screen right now. Hey, ladies, what's going on?
Oh, just hanging out in the salon, like so excited.
Sweating.
Yeah.
Sweating, nice. You look amazing. Holy cow, your salon looks so great.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. We literally both have goosebumps
Yeah.
from watching
We were
that
like, should we
video.
just start crying right now?
Yeah. We were so excited.
So, Mish, you were there, right? You got to experience that in person, right?
Yes. I was just telling Meg when we were watching it, I'm like, Meg, that's what it was really like. Like, that's the vibe. And that's like how it literally felt to be there. Like, the way you guys captured it is perfect.
Man, I cannot wait to see you guys.
I
I just think the power of learning from friends, the power of learning from people that like are authentically themselves and they get to teach you, like, it's magic. And so I can't wait to learn from you guys in April. I can't wait to learn from you guys today. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
of
we
course.
can't wait.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. So you guys are in Connecticut crushing it, right? You've had a big couple years. Do you guys want to talk a minute about what you guys have been doing over the past couple years?
Sure.
Yeah.
So since last hair camp, we have opened our big location. We have a 2,000 square foot salon called Rock and Soul, like you said, in Connecticut. We're right near Hartford, centrally located. And after we opened, we shortly closed for the pandemic.
Like 3 months later, it was like,
No,
hey,
it's
still,
tough.
you can't open.
But we made it through. We're thriving. We have a full salon, all renters, and we also opened a second company by ourselves called Soul Stylist Education, where we educate and we do cool stuff like hang out with you and teach classes all over the United States.
I love it. That's so good, man. So you guys have been grinding. You've been taking care of business up in Connecticut. The space looks gorgeous. Look at that. Wow. I love that wall behind you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Work to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Hey, so specialties for you guys. You've really put yourself on the map for the colors that you are doing. I know you guys do dimensional colors. I know you guys do brunette balayage. Why are you guys so passionate about color like that?
I mean, I feel like when I was in hair school, like blonding was like the scariest thing for me. So like I kind of made it my mission to understand it. And then once I understood it, I was just like, this is what I love doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like from working in salons like that make you do a variety of things. I feel like when we finally like branched out on our own and everything, it was like, I only want to do what I love. Like I want to come to work, enjoy what I'm doing, love my clients, and love the hair that I'm doing. I personally love like dimensional coloring, balayage, foiling, blondes, brunettes. I love all the good like lived in pops of color that like people don't have to come back for like 3 to 6 months if they don't want to, because realistically a hair is like getting your hair done is an expense. It's expensive. And I want my clients not to have to come see me that often, even though I love them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so would you guys be okay with teaching us a few things today about some color?
Of
Yes.
course.
Yeah. Talk through the technique you're going to be showing us.
So collectively, we're going to be teaching higher purpose placement. So these placements are placements that are quick, easy, but it packs a punch. So I'm going to be doing a brunette. Meg's going to be doing blonde. So we're going to show you both placements that we came up with. And mine is a money piece. Yours is a money piece, but it's basically like kind of like a whole placement at the same time.
I kind of did like a whole like side panel of like purposeful placement on how to kind of get overall impact.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Making it
Awesome.
easier for people behind the chair.
Right.
And that's what we're all about.
Yes.
Well, let's learn some hair. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you guys the screen, and we cannot wait to learn from you today. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Take it away, ladies.
All right.
All right, so Meg's gonna go first, and then she's gonna show you her quick, awesome placement. And you can see we already have one side of the mannequin done, and she's gonna go first and show you her technique.
So we wanted to do one side because we're going to show you this side. Oh,
It's
this
mirrored.
side. We're going to show you this side, but I wanted to show you kind of like what the technique does. This is not toned, just on a mannequin. She has all of her face framing going on. There's no tone, no melt, nothing. So what I did is mixed up some oligo clay lightener. So with balayage, you want to use clay lightener because it's more of a lower setting lightener. So it's a little bit more softer on the hair. And it's also quick when you're balayaging because you can get so much of the surface. So I'm going to turn her so you guys can kind of see her starting level. This is a Prada Club mannequin. Her name is Ella. She's cute. She's real cute. So I'm going to start just by sectioning behind the ear. Just straight down, kind of putting all that behind. So with blonde placement, like you need a little bit more on the ends and around the face. Most people don't really care too much about like the root. And if they do, you can still utilize this technique. But when somebody wants to feel blonde, they kind of want to feel it overall instead of more pops of color. So I'm going to take from this corner and I'm going to kind of go right to the corner of like where her hairline goes. So everybody has a different hairline. So I work with each client's hairline on where my section is going to be. So if people, you know, they have a hairline that goes 100 different ways, then I'll work with that. So I'm just going to put a little of the clay on here. And I'm going to hold it back because I really want to focus around her hairline. So when she does put her hair up, she still has some of that lightness there, so she feels blonde. I always start in the middle. I'm not going to start right at the top because that I kind of want to be a little bit more seamless. So when it grows out, she doesn't see too much of a line. So I'm kind of saturating the middle as much as I want it to be saturated. And then I'll work my way up afterwards. That's kind of the last part that I'll do before I get to the bottom because of tension. So I'm going to softly kind of work my brush up just with product. I'm kind of taking the product from here and moving it up. And just, I'm going to do the same thing all around. And I want it to look not as saturated there for the reason of it's going to lift a little bit less here. So that way she can see when her root comes in. You can even see some of her root popping through. So she doesn't just have this harsh blonde line going right through there. And I'm just going to go straight down and just saturate all of that. Now, when I said that they want to see blonde more at the ends, I'm going to take just a little bit of the interior and kind of pop it up a little bit. And then saturate. I'm going to take the back of my hand and kind of put it there. Use my brush to move the product down. So that way I'm kind of getting both sides. When I'm saturating through the ends, you don't want to squeeze the hair. You're kind of softly brushing it. I'm going to lift the hair and see how my blend is just very harsh. I'm just going to take my product that's already on the hair and just move it up, kind of just back brushing it just to blend out that line. So this way she has the brightness around her face and she's saturated through the end. And then I'm just going to use Prada Club Saran Wrap to insulate. Because it's a clay-based lightener, it does dry out. So this kind of helps it stay moist so it can lift a little bit longer. I usually feel like I can get people pretty light with clay lightener, no problem. So I'm going to use this point down here, but I'm going to go to the next part of her hairline, which for my mannequin is basically her money piece. So this section I'm actually going to split in two, and I'm going to split into where it ends, where her hairline is. Because I want this to be a part of the hairline placement. So one way that you can have or keep dimension is by alternating your placement. So this one I did double-sided, and this one I'm just going to do just the surface. So I'm going to just start in the middle. I always hold the hair kind of on the lower side when I don't want to paint too high. If I want to paint higher, I'm going to hold it a little closer because I need tension up there. But because I don't want to go higher, I'm going to hold it a little lower so I know not to do that. So same thing, I'm just going to saturate and then slowly bring it up. And then just saturate the bottom. Now this technique, I could do a whole head probably in like 20 minutes, and I usually sit for about 45. So I usually will do about like a 2-hour appointment for this whole service. So I'm gonna turn it a little bit so you guys can see. So this would be technically, oh, she's falling. Her money piece kind of right here, right here. So I'm gonna focus on that first. So if I was to start down here, my tension would be lost up here. So that's why I'm gonna hold it higher and saturate, and I'm just holding my hand where it needs to be until I feel like that part is as saturated as I want it to be. And I'll show you how to make the distinctive money piece opposed to having everything else near it. So then I'm just gonna flip my hand placement and put my thumb underneath so I can lift the hair. And I'm in the middle now because I'm gonna be doing the same thing that I did down there, because this is not gonna be the same thing kind of as her money piece. So when she puts her hair up, I still want the blonde, but I don't want it to show as bright as when her hair is down. But you can't forget this part, because when she puts her hair up, she can't have this empty hole of depth. And once I'm happy with that, I'm just gonna make sure everything is still good. I'm gonna lower it down. And I'm gonna start lower here. This is gonna be my lower point. So I'm gonna work from my lower point to my highest with the middle. I feel like when I do that, I can understand better how to make a slant, opposed to like starting high and then working my way down, and then I get lost and then it ends up too high. So I'll put my lower point where I want it and then work my middle up. Now I am gonna saturate both sides again, because like I said, alternating the placement, having some depth, but also creating that pop. And I'm gonna flip it and just blend. So when you have depth next to the money piece, right here, that's what's gonna make it stand out. And we're just gonna insulate. Sometimes I'll take my saran wrap and kind of go underneath it to move it out of the client's face. And now I'm going to take this section, it's a triangle, I'm gonna cut it in half. Like this. So now I kind of have the corner left. And this I'm gonna also do a slant, and I'm gonna work my way off of from where the money piece ended. So I'm gonna start in my middle. I'm gonna secure my lower point. So this will be where it ends. And then I'm gonna go where it starts. It sounds crazy, but I promise you it helps so much. We're gonna go low, and then we're gonna connect. And I'm working with my brush very softly. I'm kind of just using the tip of my brush this way to blend out the line right on top. So that way it's nice and soft, because I don't want to push more product into the section. And this one, I am not going to double side, because the top one I am. So the top I'm going to double side, because then underneath, when the hair opens up, she'll have all that depth. And then this is our last piece. And this we're just gonna do just like a single panel. And I'm kind of just going to still connect it to where it is. And I'm kind of, you see me moving this a lot. It's because I'm trying to get my tension where it needs to be. Because if I just do it while it's laying down, I'm gonna get through the hair. So when I lift it up, it's not gonna get through the hair. I'm kind of just horizontally moving my brush with my product. So the higher I go, the higher my section will go. I'm gonna double side it again. When I'm double siding it, I'm not going all the way up either. I'm probably going about halfway up the hair because I know when I flip it, I need to blend it. So I know my blend is going to move that up a little bit. See, if you never check your section, you won't have a good blend. And back brushing, it helps a lot. I always put a little bit more product on my brush when I do that because it helps blend it better. When it's dry, it kind of just keeps the placement where it is. I'm just gonna saran wrap it. And that is that. I will show you kind of from the top what it looks like. So you have it all connected. You just are kind of taking more horizontal back sections. So you have more of the face frame, and you're utilizing your product by saturating it on the ends. All right, Mish.
Cool.
Mishy.
Awesome placement, Meg.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna do a brunette. Oh, it is mirrored. Okay, cool. So yeah, similar to what Meg did, the only difference, thanks Meg, I'm tall. I'm not tall. The only thing different is I want to almost do the opposite of what Meg did, right? So I want to create a look that has more depth because since I'm working with a brunette, I'm kind of working with it in the mindset of she wants to stay brunette, but she wants added dimension. So she's, even if she's still, light, she still reads as a brunette on this side. And you can see all the highlights. So this sectioning here is basically 3, 4, 5 pieces. So this is going to be super quick and easy on a brunette. So let me just run around and grab the parts. Thank you. And we're using oligo lightener with 30 volume, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you the super quick sectioning for this girl. So it's funny because I really like working with Meg because when she does a blonde placement and I do a brunette placement, it's so cool that we can kind of bounce off and be like, cool. So we're basically working with the opposite. The reason I became a brunette specialist was because I just felt like there wasn't a lot of, what do you call it?
Like everybody wants to be blonde.
Yeah, it was just so much blonding. And I was like, well, what about brunettes? And I had so many brunettes coming in I never wanted to be blonde, so I don't know how I ended up like this. So I'd have to always do melting to put all the dimension back in. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come up with stuff for brunettes just because I feel like they don't get as much recognition.
It's like minimal placement for
maximum impact.
Yeah,
but also not making them
right
blonde. So
on a brunette, this compared to their darkness is it's bright.
It's a pop, and it's super easy and great, and it creates a lot of beautiful color. But whereas Meg's created a lot of placement, we're going to leave a lot of dimension. So first I'm going to start with sectioning behind the ear. And I'm going to measure where I want my money piece to be, okay? So you can do a small one, you can do a huge one, whatever you want to do. I like to do it on average about maybe an inch thick. So I'm going to start with that placement, and I'm going to do zigzag down, here, let me show you a little bit because it's kind of weird. So I'm not going to go all the way to the hairline like that, but I'm going to go close to the hairline and then zigzag underneath, kind of bigger, because the recession goes back on a lot of people. So you really have to work with their hairline as well. So I like to take a big zigzag on that section so that even if they have fringe like me or they have it long, their money piece isn't just here, it's all the way down cascading. So 2 zigzags, and then the last one is going to go almost right behind the ear. So let me show you that placement really quick. So that's what it looks like. So just a small zigzag in the money piece, a big one at the recession, because we want to make sure we have that thickness all the way down instead of it like kind of just dropping off and it kind of disappears. And we've all done that before, and that sucks when that happens, because then, yes, they have that nice front piece, but then it kind of disappears going down, right? So I'm going to start with the first zigzag. And see how you can see how this is diagonal forward, whereas Meg worked on a diagonal back because she wanted more placement and more brightness in the front. So I want to make sure I'm creating enough low light underneath. So I'm going to do a diagonal forward, so I have a little bit more brightness in the front, but making sure I have a lot of low light underneath, right in back of that piece. So same thing. I'm going to be using the bottom of my brush and using it horizontally, over directing it back, and making sure I'm like choking up on the hair to like the mid shaft here. And then I'm going to start my placement in the mid, and I'm going to work my way up. So instead of painting the underneath like this, I'm just going to paint the surface, because when she pulls her hair back, I don't want her to feel super blonde. So when she pulls her hair back, I want to see a little bit of blonde, but I do want it to be very melty and rooty around her face as well. Personally, for me, being a brunette, I mean, now I'm a ginger, but I'm a brunette. Gingers are brunettes still. I would feel so uncomfortable to have super bright pieces around my face, because it's just, even if I pulled it up, it'd be really weird. They want dimension, they want movement, but if they don't want to be blonde and they still want to be brunette, we got to leave it there for them. So as you can see, if I drop that all down, that's all going to be brunette underneath. So I'm just going to do the surface paint. And every single section is going to get a little piece of saran wrap. So that's the first piece of the money piece, right? Going all the way down. So second piece is going to be that second part of the zigzag. And then we're going to leave this last piece out. So second part of the zigzag. So instead of going all the way here and here, I'm going to bring it down. And I am going to make a point around her hairline the same way I did that one. So you want to pick a point. So I'm going to pick this point here, and I'm going to go down, so I have a lot of shadow behind it. So starting in the mid, I'm going to place my product. I do want to say that when you are placing your product, you want to make sure that you can't see through your product. So it has to be thick enough so that it sticks to itself. Because if you can see through it, you're only going to get a few levels of lift. So I'm bringing it almost all the way up, but still so melty. Because like I said, she's a brunette, so she doesn't want to see like huge lines around her face. And then just creating that product really soft around her hairline, but really heavy everywhere else. Like you want to make sure it is like paste and you can't see through it. That's how you're going to get the highest level of a lift. Because even if it's on a brunette, we still have to get past a level 7, which has the most orange in it, right? Or it still has some orange in it. You want to try to lift to a level 8 on a brunette. Because you can always tone down a little bit, but if their toner fades and all that orange keeps coming through, that's where you kind of have those clients who are kind of unhappy and they're like, oh, I see the brassiness. But sometimes you can't achieve that on the first session, and that's okay too. But you want to pick a lightener that does have a lot of lift to it. And this lightener has, I want to say 6 levels of lift for balayage, which is really good. And then we're insulating. So that's keeping the heat in, keeping the moisture in. And then we could also put her under heat for a few minutes, as long as you're watching it.
The clay lightener is like, it almost has a shell. Like it's like the more layers you do, the more lift it goes through, because it keeps drying out and drying out.
Yep.
That's how you can get like the most lift, if you keep saturating.
Yep. If you keep saturating, and then you have the saturation. So last piece is going to be the money piece, the piece that she's going to really see right in the front there, right? So I'm going to do the same thing I did. I'm going to create, like pick a point of where I want to paint up to. And I keep grabbing my comb because I want to make sure that I'm painting on a nice flat surface and it's not all tangly, because that's where, bleeds can happen. So I'm going to start on my mid, saturate it to where I want it. Try to get that little the little hanger. And just pick a point, and I'm gonna melt it all the way up to that, like I look at it as a little triangle. So right to the tip of the triangle. And leaving shadow on the top and leaving shadow on the bottom under here. And then saturating it a ton so that you can't see through the product. Because like Meg said, the more product you have on there, the less likely it'll dry out faster. And so I leave a little finger holder there, and I'm gonna take this, and same thing for the front piece. So I left all of the other pieces dimensional, so only painted the top of the other pieces, but this very front piece, I do like to saturate both sides. That way you have the strength that runs from the top all the way to the bottom, turn it around, same thing, and just softly tap it to bring the product down and blend it. I always kind of go over it again when it's down on the plastic, just because sometimes I will create a little thumbprint on there, and I want to make sure that it's like perfectly saturated. And then every single piece gets their own little piece of film, and we kind of wrap it around. So it's 3 sections for the money piece. So if you want to stop there and you want like that edgy kind of cool 90s vibe that's still really super blended, you could stop right there, but we're going to do a few more pieces. So when we lay this down, you can see if we left that, it would just be like money piece and then the rest brunette, and that would be super cool. But if we want to make it a little bit more natural, a little bit more blended, what I like to do is leave out a little low light. So just a skinnier kind of piece there. And then paint this section. So what you're going to want to do is choose a point to where you want it to be blendy. So you can leave this up high, and then I'm probably going to drop this down low because a lot of my brunettes do like a pretty dropped root. And I'm going to paint it on an angle. I'm kind of pulling back a little bit, high tension, and nice and soft, and bring it up. So I kind of like visualize like a visual like kind of like line where I want it to be. So I'm going to keep doing that. Make sure it's nice and saturated. Grab more product if I need it. And these pieces are not going to get front and back. They're only going to get surface. Pop a piece of film on that. And then we have to address the back in this case, right? Because if we're gonna try to make it look more natural, we don't want like the back to be super dark. So if that's the case, I'm gonna do the same thing, leave this little baby low light out, and then I'm just gonna grab that piece on top. If you do have a client that has a lot thicker hair and you don't think this is gonna be enough, I'll show you what you can do next. But if you have a client that has a little bit of finer texture like she does, you could literally just paint this one piece in the back. Well, it'd be 2 really, because the other side, and then call it a day. So I'm kind of like visualizing where I want this kind of like a halo, I guess, to drop down, and then painting all the way to the end. So literally 3, 4, 5 pieces for this whole placement on each side. So from there, if I wanted to create, if I had a thicker client and I wanted to create more dimension, I can take fewer pieces underneath and like just tip those out. Or in this case, I can just leave it and leave the dimension underneath. Sometimes you have brunettes that they just really want to embrace their depth and their natural color. But then you have some who want a little bit more. So it just depends on what you want to do. I like to leave a lot of dimension out. And I'll kind of show you what this side looks like. So you can see it's strong in the front, and then it kind of like subtly goes down in the back. And then literally, I didn't do anything underneath. If you can, if you want to, you totally can. But for the sake of keeping her super brunette, I left it alone. So less is more with a brunette. And that is all.
I didn't realize that we had the comments. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We didn't read them.
Well, let's answer them now real quick.
Yeah, we did 30 volume.
Yep, 30 volume.
I didn't paint my client in the back just for time purposes. But if I was to finalize this placement, I would just go in the back and take underneath her hairline and do a thin section and paint underneath here first, leave the depth on top, and then kind of take sections that go like this all the way up until you get to the top section. And I would take that just horizontally and then connect it with what I see on both sides, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So should we just answer questions really quickly? So you guys, we didn't really see them. Sorry, while we were going.
Sorry.
Hey,
Hi.
good to see you. Wow. That's so good, man.
Yeah, we're kind of being super fast.
Just to be clear, I know some of the questions were like, how does the rest of that look finish up? I mean, so much of that was intentionally showing the face, right?
Yeah.
So if you just, I mean, Meg, you just talked a little bit about what it would look like to finish up. Mish, did you want to just hit that real quick?
Yeah. So with mine, okay. So mine actually was like a full head. So if you do that same thing and you just have that one piece in the back, so you can kind of see, I'm mirrored. So I'm like, so you can see right here, I did the same thing. So this will blend together in the back and you can literally just do that on the whole thing. So with a brunette, you want to leave a lot of dimension if that's what they want, because, you know, we're doing it as if they want to stay brunette. And you could just leave the underneath all dark on that. If you wanted to create a little bit more, what you can do is after you do your placement, you could pull a few pieces out and just tip out the ends. Yeah.
I mean, so many of our clients, I know that color has gone to this like low maintenance like level. And I think like as stylists, we've really enjoyed pushing clients that direction.
Yeah.
But like if people want it, like I have so many clients who are like, I only want to come in like twice a year, 3 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so these looks give so much room for grow out and you get that really soft root line. And especially like on a brunette, like there's just no contrast between those roots and those ends.
Right.
I know that we only saw the lifting portion. How much of this look is finished with toning?
So actually,
we didn't tone them.
She didn't tone hers.
Oh yeah, you toned yours.
I did have to tone mine because mine actually lifted really light. But normally on a brunette who's like this dark, I probably wouldn't get that much lift. So I would probably get her around an 8, but I did tone her with Oligo 8NB and 7G just to put some of that warmth back in her hair.
Awesome. Yeah. And Meg, you didn't tone your girl.
It's so gorgeous that I didn't have to tone her. Like she just like lifted so pretty. All of her hairline details.
That hairline is so good.
Yeah, hairline out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's so much of that lies in the technique, right? And how you,
Yeah. Making sure you're a lot of people I think are really afraid of the transition area and how it's, oh my God, it's going to be too warm. Oh my God. But like, really you want it to be soft.
Yeah.
And there's techniques that I know you've done and I've done where you can take balayage and you can make it very heavy if you just paint super heavy. But if you want something low maintenance, like both of these clients can come back. We always say 3 to 4 months, but honestly, I feel like we both have college kids that come back twice a year.
Yeah.
And
that's incredible.
It still looks great. As long as like you're just really focusing on that transition area and not making it so harsh and saturated right there or like directly to the root. Like even when I do foils, I will still leave like a smidge away from the root just for the purpose of like when your hair like fluffs up, you still have a little bit of that lived in look when you leave, and then it grows out and you still can continue living with that hair. Yeah.
And if you really want to take it one step further and you want to make it live even longer, which it's such a long life already of this service, you could come in and like deepen it a little bit for a toner and then you're good to go because it's not as of a harsh transition.
It just refreshes the tone really well.
Totally.
Look like they just got their hair done.
Yep.
Man, the thing that I always think of when I think of you two and your work is you have this like super progressive, like it feels so current. And yet at the same time, like there's such this like naturalness to it that it can almost live forever. Like it kind of sits in both and it's just really beautiful. I mean, I know, knowing both your stories, knowing where you've been and just how hard you've worked to get where you're at. And also know what motivates you to create new looks and to like just get your technique stronger. I really think you two are so responsible for some of the things that we all see, online every day, and like just think, oh yeah, that's balayage. Everyone's doing that. But like true artists and true educators start those trends and really lay the foundation of that then other people learn from and do their version of. But I just wanted to thank you guys for the groundwork you've laid for just these dimensional colors and these really soft looks. I also want to thank you for pushing clients to a place where like they're okay coming in every 3 to 6 months. Cause
we don't want people to be like scared to go get their hair done because they like can't afford it or they can't.
Yeah, right.
Time to
yeah. One of the things that like we talked to you about before was like how we created our salon. We wanted it to be a focus of like soul, beauty on a soul level. So like that means creating these looks for clients so they can live their life and not have to be, high maintenance, low maintenance. And we always like, I feel like me and Meg, we teeter on a line of like edgy, natural. Yeah. So we kind of take our style and combine it with like a very natural vibe. And we kind of create this like rock and roll boho hair, which is.
I feel like a lot of the times too, like a lot of our clients, they love getting their hair done because they love like feeling beautiful and getting their hair done, just feeling all refreshed and like having that like break. Like a lot of our clients are moms or, they work a lot and they travel a lot. So like having that like time to just sit and do nothing, it's just nice to have every once in a while.
Yeah. But they don't have to worry about coming back every 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I can't get my hair done like twice a year. Like I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Totally. I love it. I love that you're sensitive to that. Hey, this is great stuff. I mean, everyone watching right now could show up tomorrow at the salon and put this on a client's head. Thank you so much for teaching this, man. This is so good. It's good to learn from you. It's good to see your faces. I know you've been busy. You guys have a busy time coming up. I know you've got an education tour planned for the spring and hair camp's one of the dates, right?
Yes.
Which is so exciting. So, if you are not following Meg and Mish currently, do so. Not just because we want to give them some love and support, but because you will be a better hairstylist because of it. And I know that everybody watching today wants to take their hair game to the next level. They will get you there. So if they're close to your city before hair camp, come and see them at one of their spots. If it's an open spot on their tour, I know they'd love to teach you and meet you in person. They also are so engaged on social media. So if you want to talk to them on their Instagram accounts, they're totally willing to do that. And I would say if you're ever in Connecticut, in Hartford, stop in at Rock and Soul and say, hey, come see the beautiful salon and the space and meet the team. So awesome. All right, ladies, thank you so much. It's so good to see you.
So good
we will see you all in April, okay?
Yes,
I can't wait.
Come to hair camp.
Yes, come to hair camp. You won't regret it.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Have an awesome rest of your Sunday.
Thanks for having us.
Meg and Mish, man, they are incredible. Like I said, I mean, I feel like one of our biggest values whenever we partner with educators, there's a lot of education out there. I mean, if you scroll through your feed, you know that all of us follow 1 million people on our Instagram feed, or we search it out online, or we just know what's going on because we want to progress. It's also, there's a lot of noise. And there's a lot of people that are trying to build themselves up instead of you. And so we are ultra sensitive to that. We're only interested in partnering with educators that want the best for others, including themselves, but also others. And so that's why Meg and Mish are on the screen. That's why the rest of the people are on the screen today. Hey, listen, I know we're excited to be here today talking about Digital Bonfire, but guys, I am so excited about Hair Camp Midwest. You have no idea, right? Because that is what we love the most. And so really Hair Camp Midwest is hands-on education. It is breakout sessions. It's main sessions. And one of the people that we have coming to Hair Camp Midwest this year is a friend that I've been making over the past few months named Jules Tognini. Jules Tognini is a legend. My dude is from Australia. He's from down under, and he's an awesome guy. He is going to be hosting our main stage for us at Hair Camp Midwest. And so right now, currently, I did the math earlier. It's 5 a.m. in Australia, and Jules is on vacation with his family. And so Jules and I pre-recorded a really fun thing. We sort of did this rapid fire. He didn't know the questions I wasn't going to ask him. I didn't know the questions he was going to ask me. But this gives you a chance to get to know Jules a little bit. Here's a couple fun facts about Jules. Multi-generational salon owner. He and his brother now own the salon that his parents started. He just won Australian Hair Educator of the Year for 2021. But he won that in 2020, 2019, 2018, 2016, and 2015. The dude is a legend. So he's going to be hosting our main stage for us at Hair Camp. He is also going to be doing some fun techniques, short stuff that you can learn on the go from stage, look and learns, similar to what Mission Meg did, some cutting stuff. And I'm really excited about what he's going to be doing in April. But to give you a little taste of Jules and who he is, here's a fun segment that we filmed the other day. Question number 1, what would be the theme song of your life?
Oh, Why Can't We Be Friends? What? By War. You know that song? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because why? Because you want to be friends with everybody? Is that the deal?
Like, oh no, I have this really weird thing about people just not getting along with people. I don't, I give everyone enough chances to prove themselves that they're a legend. So yeah, I think we're gonna have a good time.
So it should actually, you could change the lyrics, which is "We're gonna be friends."
Eventually.
Yeah. Like no question. It's like Mariah Carey's song. Like you'll always be my baby. Like
exactly. You'll always be my baby if you want to, and if you don't want to, that's fine as well. No pressure. Okay.
I feel like she didn't give him the option. She was like, it was semi-stalkerish, right?
It was, but she was allowed to do that, man. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I was happy for Mariah to be, call me baby as well at the time.
That's right. Okay. All right. Good. Great.
All right. So,
all right. I'm
first
ready.
question, Sam. Let's. I like to judge people based off the things they're into, to figure out if we're going to connect and be friends.
Okay.
What's we're at a bar. I'm buying you a drink. What's your drink? Favorite drink?
Listen, I am a Kentucky guy, right? I actually live in Kentucky, Cincinnati, Kentucky. It's all right there. Well, Kentucky is known for its bourbon.
Bourbon, yeah,
So
right.
I'm going to keep it classic, and I'm going to go with an old-fashioned.
Okay, good. I can do this. I can do this with you.
Okay.
Not the biggest bourbon guy, but I feel like smalls and bourbon are going to be my thing.
Yeah, dude, you will be. If it doesn't taste like a campfire, then like I'm out, right? Like,
all right.
So
all right. Smoky and everything.
Smoky burn. Okay.
Game on.
All right, you ready? Question 2. What is the most useless talent you have?
Oh, juggling.
Oh, right on.
I used to think I'm going to try to find something to juggle. I used to think juggling was the shit, right?
Yeah, juggling.
My sweet skills. Why not?
Yeah, let's see this, guys. What do you think Jules is going to find? Some knives, maybe, or let's see what he's got.
All right.
He's prepped. He just went into his juggling closet.
Useless skill. So every night before I went to bed, you said your prayers, and I used to juggle 100 balls.
Nice.
I think I wanted to be a clown.
Yeah. I wanted to be Australian. You wanted to be a clown.
Oh,
yes. Yes. No. No way.
I need more practice, but honestly, I was like, this skill is going to be my party trick, and it never pulled any girls. So,
yeah. Dude, how's that useless? I feel like that's an incredible talent. That's like top 5 talent.
Yeah, it is my top 5 talent. A lot of my talents are useless.
Okay, I guess that says a lot. If that's in your top 5, then yeah, I want to know what the other 4 are, right?
Yeah, well, you get to find out, mate.
Okay, all right.
All right, Sam.
Number 2.
What advice would you give to your younger self? Maybe like 13-year-old Sam gets his first pimple.
Yeah, I would say stop putting got to be glued in your hair and then flat ironing it until it was crispy and standing straight up in the air.
The ski jump. You did the ski jump, like.
Dude, I don't even know what it was. It was, but it was, you know how like when you put so much on, it's like that, like it looks like glue. It's like white and stringy. And man, I was trying. I had my Jinkos. I had my ball choker necklace.
What's a Jinko?
Jinko jeans. Like the wide leg. Did wide legs ever make it to Australia? The super
like cross colors?
Cross colors, no, a little bit different. Like I'm talking the leg hole of the jean could fit over your head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wide leg, like fat leg.
So just picture this whole thing, right? The spikes, the choker necklace, the wide leg jean. Yeah. So
A bit 182 kind of styly.
yeah, I would start there and then I'd work on the other. There's a lot of advice, but I feel like that would have actually saved me some awkwardness in middle school.
They're the photos you don't want to show your kids because they're like, yeah, Dad was cool.
That's right. That's right.
Delete those.
Okay, you ready?
Great start.
Here we go. Where is the most smelly place you've ever been?
Smelly?
Smelliest, stinkiest.
Oh, my bathroom every morning. Like, there's a lot of people out there saying their shit doesn't stink, but let's just be real.
Like, come on, dude. Every morning, that's great. So you're pretty regular then.
Yeah. Oh yeah, really regular. Yeah, that's great. Is there a long drop or a short drop at this camp? Like, what's the go?
Wait, what do you mean by long drop or short drop?
I know, like in Australia, there's this like, I guess like the whole septic tank wasn't a thing back in the day, so we had this. You'd either, if you had to go potty, you'd go the number one would be the short drop, the short hole, and the number two is the long drop. They'd call it. We call them the outback dunny. We'll talk about it later.
Okay, it's a good answer. Hey, that also brings up the really fun fact about toilets flushing opposite directions, right?
You've been watching The Simpsons.
Oh, dude, it's. I've always wanted to see it. I've always wanted to see it go in reverse.
Yeah, well, I do. I'll try. Let's film it. Maybe we can do a little Insta comparison, maybe.
Yeah.
On the hair camp, on the way they go. But yeah, it's true. I don't know. It's science. It's science.
I love it. All right, what's your next?
All right, you ready for this, Sam?
I'm ready.
All right. If you were shipwrecked on a desert island, you had all your human needs. You had your food, your water, your sunscreen.
Okay.
What 2 items would you take? Like little, like luxury items, I guess. Vaseline and tissues. No, you can't say that. You can't say that, Sam. Sorry.
We could solve that because I would take my wife.
Yeah, good. Done. Tick. Boom.
2 birds, 1 stone there.
Leave your kids at home. It's like a holiday then.
Yeah, just consider it like a lifelong holiday, right? Just the 2 of us. That'd be fun. Okay. Every basic human survival need, fire. I'd take a way to make fire.
You got that already, I reckon.
Okay. Man, this is harder than I thought.
All your living things, like all your basic, bit of shelter. You got that.
2 things. I'm gonna bring the bourbon.
Wife and bourbon, that turns into a good time, mate, every time.
Right, back to that old fashioned, man. You've got me wanting some bourbon right now.
So good. All right, done. Love it.
Okay.
So we're learning a lot about each other. This is great.
This is great. So here's a deal. Similar question. I didn't know you were going to ask that. So tomorrow you're required to evacuate, right? You get the alert, Jules. You got to go. Okay. 5 items. You get 5 items.
Okay. Yep. Where am I going?
You're going into the outback.
Okay. 5 items with me to the outback.
I don't like that. No, you're getting in the car and you got to go. So you've got the car, you got the kids, but you've got to go.
Got kids.
Find a new place to relocate. Yes. Well, you can only take 5.
I got to relocate. Okay. Oh yeah, this is good. I'll probably take first things first. Probably take my surfboard.
Yes, love that.
Kids and wife. They're there, so that's good. We're packing wardrobe for sure. You got to go into your new location looking fly.
That's right.
I'd probably bring my barbecue.
Right on. Okay.
I think I love cooking, so let's bring the barbie.
Okay.
The juggling balls would have to come, obviously.
Absolutely.
That's how I'm going to make money, by busking on the street. And the final thing I'm going to take, look, I'll probably bring my passport.
Okay.
Bring him a passport.
Because you're coming to Cincinnati? Is that what you're going to do?
I'm going to Cincinnati. I'm getting out of here.
Hey, dude, I was hoping you were going to say that.
Good luck.
Yeah, dude. All right, passport done. Awesome. We'll start making the
All
bet.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard your, actually, no, let's go one earlier.
Okay.
The strangest thing, I don't know if you're a cook or if you look after that side of the house, but what's the strangest thing you have in your refrigerator right now? Vegemite?
No.
You tried it?
I have.
You like it, eh? It's good.
I can't get there.
Nah, it's good. We'll work on it, man. You got till April.
What's the appeal?
Delicious.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't you love tasty things?
Yeah. Strangest thing. I'm gonna say it's my dad is a hunter.
Yeah.
And so I've got teriyaki deer meat waiting for me in my fridge right now.
I like this.
That's like as organic as it gets, man.
Oh, it's a little bit of Japanese, a little bit of Midwest.
So it's actually, I think it was my great grandma's recipe. So he made some the other day and he dropped it off. So looking forward to doing that on the barbecue.
All right, good. You cook?
Oh yeah, I love cooking. You?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I wasn't a hairdresser, I'd be a chef. That might be your next question, so I won't ruin it.
Man, if I wasn't a hairdresser, I think I'd want to deliver babies.
What, like out of your body?
No, like help people have babies.
Like a midwife?
Yeah.
Isn't having a kid, they didn't tell me this before it happened, but I think I'd orphan about 100 kids to get that feeling. It's like the greatest thing of all times in a baby for the first time going, oh my God.
It is, it's magic. It is so, yeah. So anyhow, fun fact.
How many kids have you got, Sam?
I've got 3.
3 kids. And
that's 14, Emerson's 12, and then Elliot's 9.
Yeah, cool. You started young, man.
Dude, 23. Well, how about you? You've got 2, right?
I've got 2. I've got Iggy. He's about 10-7, and Poppy's 5.
Yeah. I got to meet Poppy on the screen.
Oh, you did meet Poppy. Yeah, you did.
She was telling us.
She's cute, mate. She's going to take over the world. Girl power.
Oh, right on.
Love it.
Okay. I think this is my last question.
Well, it's funny because I at least have 3 more for you, but yeah, carry on.
Yeah. Apparently 5 works different in Australia. Okay. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Tell me a time where you screwed everything up, but no one ever found out.
Oh, that's good. All right. Let's bring it back to, we haven't spoken anything about hair yet.
Okay, good call.
I have this thing where when I teach, I'm pretty real. I don't like to say things. I don't like to talk about things that I haven't done. I don't like to, I don't know. I think everyone goes through shit experiences with clients. Doesn't matter who you are or how good you are. You've made someone cry and you've cut someone. And I'll tell you a story about the time I cut this guy. I was doing his haircut. He had a pretty high and tight, little through the sides. I had a little bit of scissor comb action happening behind the ear. And as I was working up and talking to him, I've actually, my comb was inside the ear, my scissors were outside the ear, and I actually snipped the bottom of his ear off, just like the bottom, couple of mil, right? And it came clean off, and then it bled like buggery, and it just dripped with blood. And anyone who's cut an ear before, those things do not stop bleeding.
Oh my gosh, there's every vein in the body is connected to the ear.
Right. So he's got short hair like yours, right? And there's no covering up. If you got long hair, you could probably put a Band-Aid or a plaster and put the hair over it. This guy's got high and tight. I got nothing to cover. And I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, mate. I've admitted I fucked up to him. I tried to hide it from the rest of the salon. But I have admitted that, I've stuffed up, man. I'm sorry. He's like, don't worry about it. He's really calm. And I'm like, what? He's like, I've been cutting his hair for a while. We're kind of mates, but he's like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, no, man, I feel so bad. Obviously, no charge today. I've wrapped his ear with cotton wool and tape. So he's got this ear muff on one side. and it's still bleeding out, and this thing's like dripping red. So I've given him all this stuff, and I'm like, how are you getting home? And he's like, oh, I'm catching the train. I got an hour train trip. And I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so he's been really calm about it all. And I was shitting myself. Everyone's like at work going, what the hell happened to Ezo? I'm like, nothing, man, nothing. It's all good. Yeah, happy days. Yeah, he's just got a free haircut. It was just a trim. Anyway, he's come back in 3 weeks later, and I'm like, right, yeah, shit, he's coming in with his lawyers, or, you know, I'm freaking out. And he's come in, and I've gone, oh, mate, I feel so bad still. Yada, yada. He goes, I got something to tell you. I feel really bad as well. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I didn't tell you something the other day, and I wasn't really going to tell you, but I guess to make you feel better, I have really big earlobes. And I'm like, man, you can't make that as an excuse. I cut your earlobe. It's not your fault. He goes, no, I have big earlobes. It's fine. They get in the way. I've actually had them taken up since seeing you. I had an appointment booked in for 2 days after you cut my ear to take a triangular wedge out of my ear and close it up to shorten my earlobe. So the bit you actually cut was getting cut off anyway. So it's all good, man. Don't worry about it. Thanks for the free haircut. And then
Are you kidding?
I felt like a hero then. So then I was like, I could have done that for you for free, bro. Like,
what are the odds?
I know, how good. What a legend. What a legend.
So you're saying he did not schedule this appointment after you cut his ear? He had like a wake-up call, and he's like,
he had it in. He had it booked. It was all good. And he was so calm about it. He's like, yeah, okay, cool. I had to wear an earmuff on the way home in the train, but ideally, it wasn't a big issue, man. The bit you cut off actually is on the cutting room floor. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Dude, that's insane. Okay, that's pretty great. Wow.
So I kind of got away with murder, I guess, there.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy about.
If you would have went a little higher, he may not have even needed the surgery.
Exactly right, mate. Exactly right. I could have tucked the wedge out for him.
Yeah. You're like, I could say that would have been free. Yeah.
Exactly. So, Sam, you got a question?
Okay, last one, right?
You play music?
I do. Yes.
Now, I guess getting to know someone is about knowing what kind of music they like.
Yeah.
If you play drums, drums,
yeah.
Drums, okay. If you could play drums in any band in history, dead or alive, what band would it be? Who would you be a part of?
Easy. Dixie Chicks, circa 1998.
I'm getting Dixie Chicks big in Cincinnati.
No, man.
Like, you don't want to pick the Rolling Stones or something? You want to go?
No, man. I want to play that cheesy country girl pop music.
Just on the sticks in the.
Yeah, exactly. Like the slide guitar and some Nashville dude on the bass, and then I'm just over there, just. But
Sam Hill's from the Dixie Chicks and Guy.
I grew up playing punk rock, indie rock. I played in hardcore bands, but I got a soft spot for the Chicks, man. The Dixie Chicks. So that's my
good. You're a big softie, a man who can get away with wearing, a pink top.
Always.
Dixie Chicks for life. Man.
Pink is
you got that tattooed on you too, yeah?
What's that?
You got Dixie Chicks for life tattooed on you? Yeah,
it's on my lower back.
It's on your lower back, yeah. You got the stamp.
Jules, dude, I can't even believe this is real, man. This is so good to be here today with you.
It's happening, mate.
And soon enough, man, we're going to be in person at Hair Camp. Just having the time of our lives. Listen, I am so glad that you said yes to doing this with us. I promise you, it's going to be an adventure. And it's going to be good for everybody. So, listen, guys, Jules is going to be joining us at Hair Camp in April. It's April 29th. He'll be there. If you want more of this, we'd love for you to join us. I know Jules would too. Educator of the Year, Australia for 2021. Just a straight legend. I'd love for everybody to get a chance to have fun with this guy. So, Jules, man, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys all at camp. And you need to teach me your American camp ways as well. So dude, I can't wait. Thanks for inviting me, mate. And super pumped.
Well, be well between now and then, and we'll see each other soon. Okay, buddy?
Awesome. See you, mate. Thanks, guys.
Jules Tognini, man, what a guy. Had a blast getting to film that with him the other day. And I'm really excited for him to be hosting our main stage at Hair Camp Midwest 2022. That's right. Get your tickets now. They are live. If you've always wanted to come to the event, now's the time to get them. We promise you these tickets will not last long. And if you're thinking about it, make it happen. All the info is on our website, haircamp.co. Go and check that out. We're really excited. Hair Camp has had an opportunity to grow a ton over the past 2 years. We've had to redefine who we are and what our values are and what we want to do for the hair industry. And one of the ways we did that is we pulled back from being able to host events for 2 years in a row. We did 2019, but 20 and 21 got canceled. And so it was a chance to just sort of pivot and redefine who we were. One of the ways we did that is through something we called the Fireside Sessions. The Fireside Sessions were an amazing chance to give you great education through your screen. But we know that there's a ton of stuff out there for you as a hairstylist that is online digital content. We did it differently. And so what we want to do is we want to run a commercial right now to show you guys how we did that. We are going to be meeting over the Zoom platform. And what that does is it creates a live environment. It's a live class. So there's the accountability of the educator interacting with the student live. Right. It happens weekly. And so what I love is that each week builds on itself. We're going to start with these foundational techniques. The next week we get together, those techniques build on themselves. The next week after that, they build on that. Not only that, but the community that says yes to committing to these 3 weeks together, they're going to connect all week long via Instagram and sort of this private chat DM to encourage each other, to share their work and their ahas and what they're learning in the salon as a chance to sort of say, like, this is what's working, this is what's not. They get to practice this stuff in real time as you're teaching it to them. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. We got to partner with an amazing educator named Chris Jones. If you do not know Chris Jones is known for being the Bob King. And so what is unique about Fireside is the educator takes one technique, whether they're doing cut or color, and they break it down into 3 segments. So it's like learning the one haircut over the course of 3 weeks. Oftentimes when we are getting education, we sort of are like in this moment, whether it's a look and learn, whether it's hands-on, and we have to like retain as much as we can. What the Fireside Sessions does is it says, week 1, let's just cut perimeter. We're going to spend an hour going over this as a group, and the educator is going to slowly take us through what that looks like. Week 2, let's add in texture and shape, right? Like how the haircut moves. We spend an hour doing that, and then you get a chance to go into the salon that following week and practice it. Week 3, then we do the finish. And so what it does is it allows you to take these super complicated techniques and do these bite-size chunks of them. And it gets into a different spot. I'm telling you what, I followed along with a mannequin head with Chris, and my bob cuts are now different. And I loved it so much. One of the things that we wanted to do is bring on a special friend today. Her name is Annie Brown, and she is out of Columbus, Ohio. And she's going to be joining us live. Not only was she at Hair Camp Midwest, but she also joined us for Fireside. So why don't we get Annie on here right now and ask her about her experience.
Hi.
Hi, Annie. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on here.
Oh, my goodness. It's so good to see you. Thank you for being here.
I'm so excited. It's our first hair camp experience for 2022.
Come on. Bring it, right?
Bring it. Okay. I have to quickly say, Dixie Chicks is my hype music. So when everyone makes fun of me.
Okay.
It's my hype music. So
listen, when we get together, you and I, right?
Yeah.
Can we just blast some Dixie Chicks and just rock out?
100%.
How about you lead vocals, I'll play drums.
Okay. I'll do the vocals for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been told I have the voice of an angel. So
yeah. Cowboy Take Me Away. That's my karaoke song.
It's my hype music.
Come on.
Something on site. That's what I like blast in the car.
Okay, so here let's dive into it because I think people want to know hear a little bit from you. Okay, so who are you? Where are you from?
My name is Annie Brown. Sometimes I go by Annie B.
Yeah,
and I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
Awesome. So you're a hairstylist.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that with us?
As we are all hairstylists, I think I feel like lucky in the fact that there's nothing else I've ever wanted to do. I feel like I came out of the womb and I wanted to do hair. So, I was in the high school and just always knew that that's what I was going to do. And I'm still in love with the career choice I made for myself.
Yeah, your work shows that you were destined for hair. Following along and just seeing the awesome stuff you're doing. What kind of hair are you passionate about?
I was thinking about that because I feel like it kind of has evolved in the years. I'm definitely mostly passionate about blonding, also kind of that lived in look. But the more years I'm getting under my belt, like I'm really into shags. I'm really into just every little education class that I'm in. I love taking little things from that and adding it into my like arsenal of tricks and just even like, I know this might sound crazy, but just certain cutting techniques, kind of adding that into my coloring techniques. So color, I guess, is the short answer, is my favorite thing to do.
Right on.
I also love cutting.
Yeah. I mean, so it sounds like education's a big deal to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does that matter? Why do you feel like for you as a hairstylist, going after education is important?
I think it's important for a lot of reasons. I feel like it's something I'm doing not only for myself, but for my clients. I feel like I don't want to ever be bored. And I've found myself when I haven't been to a class in a while, I can get bored or stuck in a rut. And if I go to a class, whether it's the best class I've ever been to or maybe not the best class, I still leave feeling like I've gained something.
Yeah.
It's the community of just other stylists who also value education. I like love education.
Yeah. I mean, I would say there's a lot of answers, but those might have been the right ones.
Yeah.
I mean, like, right. Like, I love your motivation for it. Cause everything you just mentioned, we can all relate to.
Yeah.
Whether it's like that feeling of feeling stuck in a rut, whether it's looking for new inspiration, whether it's, doing it for clients. Like, I think that's such a great point to call out. You're like, people sit in my chair. It matters. Like, they want it to matter. They want me to be at the top of my game. Like, that's not their weight to carry if I'm not. It's mine. And so, like, I love that's your motivation.
I just feel like it's an honor and a privilege for them to sit in my chair. I do value myself as a gift as well, but like for them to sit in my chair, it's like not a duty, but I feel like it's my job to be the best I can be for them as well.
Heck yeah.
And I know I get filled just to the top. My cup is filled every time I leave any kind of educational event. So I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah. I had a friend challenge me the other day and she had asked, she said, you're all about education. You're all about bettering yourself. Like, it's almost like a pro athlete that steps on the field for game day. We're doing this training and all of this hard work to step into those moments and be able to like operate at that top level. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's really fun to get to do. Okay. Yeah. So I want to know, how did hair camp come on your radar?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I know. I'm sorry. I think it was like social media. It had to have been social media.
Yeah.
And it's like hair, my one true love, and then camp. Also my like child. I mean, I went to camp all growing up. Every summer I was at summer camp. So I was just like, well, this is going to be amazing. But I have to believe that it was social media that it came on my radar.
And I mean, that's probably true.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to this.
Yeah.
I'm not missing this. And it was the best decision I've like made. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It exceeded all my expectations for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I know after knowing you, meeting you, getting to sort of like see your work and know what you're about, I sleep better at night knowing that you are out there doing your thing. I'm like, okay, if Annie B is behind the chair and she's making people beautiful and she's like, yeah, it's just a good feeling to know. So anyhow,
thank you.
yes, I'm really glad.
Cool too. And like, you've created this magical thing that if anybody could, I mean, I tell everybody about it. And if anybody can just come and experience it, I mean, it's magical.
You know, I love that you say that, because to us, that's what hair camp is about. Like, it's not about us, right? And it's not about some stage and like convincing everyone who's looking at it to think like, oh, that's cool. Like, they're now defining that for me. Like, we want to bring the best out of everybody. So, okay. So, you also got a chance to do Fireside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was that experience? Because you did alongside me with Chris's class, Chris Jones' class. Yeah.
So I've always loved cutting. I should have said cutting a bob is, I think, one of the most challenging haircuts you can do. And I love that challenge. And he completely changed the way I cut a bob.
Yeah.
It was a game changer.
Yeah.
I mean, and I loved how it was like broken up into different segments. I think that kind of helped, but it was a complete game changer. I'm going to take his class again.
Awesome.
It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah. Man, I love that you keep coming back. I mean, it's just so fun to be inspired by you. I'm glad that we're inspiring you, but it's also fun to get inspired by you and what you're doing. The last guest that was on here, Jules, you're the one that made that connection. So thank you for that.
Yeah. He's an amazing guy. Everyone's going to love him.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. All right, great. Annie B. Yeah, it's too long between now and April, but yeah, I'm excited to see your face again in person.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being on here, and thanks for doing really great work and important stuff every day behind the chair.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you. Hey, Annie B is amazing. Love her, love what she's doing, and I know there's so many people out there that are just like Annie B. You guys are grinding and you are challenging yourself and you want to get better, but it's also like from a place of inspiration. It's not because you have to, it's because you get to. When hair hits that spot, it's so special. I know for me behind the chair, when I'm in that place, I don't want to do anything else. It just becomes that thing where making people look and feel beautiful is so fulfilling. So I'm excited that Annie B is going to be at hair camp. I'm excited that she's going to be on Fireside sessions with us. We would love for you to be at Fireside. And so here's the deal. We're kicking off our first Fireside session in February. Last time we had Chris Jones. He absolutely crushed it. This time we've got Judith Viola. She's joining us from California and she's going to be amazing. It's a 3-week session. It's in February. It starts February 8th. It's the 15th and the 22nd. Those are Tuesday nights. Those are going to be Tuesday evenings. Mark your calendar now. We're going to be sending out important information on how to sign up for classes, a lot more details on what it is and what Judith's going to be teaching. And that's going to be coming to your inbox, and that's going to be on our website. If you want more information directly coming from us, make sure you sign up for our mailing list, and also make sure that you are following along on Instagram. All our information on there gives you up to date on what hair camp's doing and all the exciting stuff that we have coming up and going on currently. We'd love for you to be at our first Fireside session. They're super easy. It's live, hands-on education, right? We're not just talking to a screen. We're actually interacting with each other over the Zoom platform. Come and be a part of that. Super, super awesome. So listen, one of the things we wanted to do is give you a little taste of what it's like to learn from Judith. So up next for this next segment, we've got Judith, and also joining her, a very special friend named Andy. Andy and Judith are both unbelievable stylists. Judith is in California, Andy's in Nashville, Tennessee, and they're joining us live today to teach us their shag technique. So we're going to get them on here right now. And I want to see their faces on the screen. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hello.
You guys, yeah, we've got you. Judith, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, loud and clear. Oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
Everybody's looking amazing. Wow, look at this. These settings are amazing. Did you guys do a little, you said we need some foliage in the shot. Was that planned or?
No.
It just brings everything to life.
It totally does. I am so pumped you guys are on here today because I consider both of you guys a major source of inspiration for myself. And I know for our salon, you guys are both major sources of inspiration because of your work, right? Yes. I'm really excited because both of you have I would say a signature to a specific cut called the shag, correct? Yeah. You guys have worked hard at creating your signature shag. And I know for everybody watching at home right now, you see a lot of this in your feed. What we want to do here today is actually show two of the top shag stylists in the country side by side on screen, teaching simultaneously the same haircut, but from their point of view. So I'm really excited about this. We did our run through the other day. You guys were up for this. I know I kind of threw a curveball saying, would you guys want to teach side by side? But I'm so excited to see what comes out of this segment today.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
How are you guys feeling about it?
I feel excited. I feel lucky. I feel like I'm going to need to try to focus here instead of on Andy's work because I know I'm dying to learn from Andy. So I'm so happy to be here with you all.
We were talking off camera about it's going to be so hard to move through this. I just want to know what you're doing.
Right. Well, listen, we're going to get to know you guys a little bit more after you teach, but I'm going to actually give you guys the screen and you guys are going to take it away now. Okay.
Cool.
Beautiful.
You'll have to tell me if you can see me at all times. So
hey, you're looking great. Judith, you're looking great. Your setup is perfect. So go ahead and take it away.
Cool.
Do you want to start?
Andy, do you want to go?
Okay, I can go.
Yeah, you go first.
All right. So this is my model today. She's pre-sectioned. We just went ahead and separated the back from the front with a bit of a horseshoe sectioning on top. That's going to be my start for my haircut.
Beautiful. Can I talk about my sectioning, Andy?
Yeah, please.
All right. So I don't know about you all at home, but I am always working on my sectioning. I feel like even though it's not a boring part of hair cutting, it's incredibly integral. But I definitely know that like if my sectioning is clean, if my sections are on point, then that is going to help me just kind of walk through the haircut a little bit more clearly. So I have this sectioned out into a few different just like parts of the haircut. So I have my fringe, which is kind of coming from like the top round of the head, and that kind of angles back in a rounded fashion, like a rounded diagonal back. Can you all see that? And it kind of ends behind the ear, and then it curves back up below the crown. So I am trying to work all within rounded sections that are going to kind of encourage a short to long feel, because to me, those are kind of signature parts of the shag.
I work in a similar way as well, but I take a lot of rectangle and triangular shapes, which we'll see.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love that.
I just broke down my horseshoe sectioning, and I typically split the horseshoe into 3 to 4 sections to cut the fringe, depending on how much volume I either want on top or how much width I want on the sides. So it took about an inch and a half sectioning from the hairline just in a straight horizontal. And that's what I'm going to begin my process as. And I'm going to find the rough center. And if this was a person, I would kind of adjust where the natural calyx were living, and that's how I'd find the center of the hair. But for this, it's just something relatively that's going to live in between the eyebrows when pinched. And I'm going to make my first cut as well to the brow. Am I okay to go start cutting while you begin?
I'm going to watch that first cut, and then I'll explain.
Totally.
One thing you all can maybe see is Andy's section is like a little bit bigger than the one that I'm taking. I like to start with small pieces, but similarly, that natural center part And this is kind of like in a trapezoid-ish little bit of the head shape that I'm working within first, but I like to start small. I'm a slow worker, a little bit of a slow learner, but it all comes together, I think, really beautifully. So I think let's make our first cuts together. Yeah?
Okay.
Does that sound fun? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm aiming for like right around brows, like
Cool.
kind
Me
of
too.
up and down around the brow.
And I'm gonna go in with my feather razor, and I'm gonna start on top, matching right at the brow, working down. And then I'm gonna go underneath and elevate out and cut down.
Love it. So I am aiming kind of like for the stroke of my feather razor. So I work with a straight blade, and I'm kind of aiming within about like a 1-inch range. So kind of like from the bridge of the nose to the brow is where that stroke is happening. So what that does is it gives me like a really soft variation of lengths that fall between that little zone. So it all kind of falls like right around that middle brow, but it's like a little short and little longer pieces. So it gives her some movement, and I can always detail this shorter later if we want to, but I like to start a touch longer just for safety.
I do the same thing in the center as well. I always leave it a little bit longer, and typically I dry cut into it and kind of sculpt more into the refining area of the center of the brow. Yes. I'm going to move on to my sides of the fringe. Is that cool?
Yeah. I'm going to keep working through my fringe. I'll just let you all know my section, and then I'm just going to kind of keep moving through it. From here, I'm working through kind of in larger triangles. So I like to work my stroke diagonally across, and I'm matching, moving all the way to the outside of this section. I like to finish the fringe before I get into the sides. Cool?
Same.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to go through and take my side, over direct it a little bit to the center. I'm going to visually match where this point ends. And I'm going to take my blade in a motion and keep carving down. I'm going to over direct that back. I'm going to go through.
I want to watch what you're doing so badly. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I want to watch what you're doing too. I keep like peeking a little. I'm then going to take that corner on the very end, and I'm going to go through and kind of carve that out ever so subtly in a C shaping to really encourage that to kick out. So that way, as that starts to set and air dry, we already have that motion built in.
I love it. What kind of elevation were you using, Andy? Like, do you hold that pretty low?
Yeah, it's pretty low. It's maybe a little less than a 45.
Yeah,
over
totally.
directed to the center, and then keep it pretty square, and then work down that way. I'm stronger on the mannequin's right side, so on my left side, I always have to go through a couple of times to match it.
Yeah. I always need a little bit of extra work with that matching too. I'm also working at a lower elevation. I feel like that's one of the signatures with the shag. It's kind of just this like hugging of the face. So keeping that low elevation kind of like reminds me of a similar, a classic like forward grad that really just keeps it hugging in a really beautiful way. But again, I'm working off of more of a diagonal section here and angling my fringe out the littlest bit. But I am getting a lot, again, I love variation in length. I just love the feeling of like the fringe is almost like a little pixie cut, like right in the front of their face. So I'm keeping all of these really cute short and long bits just to give a ton of movement. And I'm holding this section, so combing straight off of my diagonal back, and I'm just kind of placing my finger right on the bridge of her nose and keeping my fingers at an angle too. I try to keep my fingers as in line with my section and my cut line as often as possible. Just like those patterns, that pattern recognition is super important for me as I'm always training my eye and trying to be more on point with my balance.
You speak so beautifully. I feel like I could just listen to you speak forever. Oh, my headphone dropped. One second.
Oh, one of mine fell out so long ago. I just left it.
I love it. All right, so I just went through and took the next horizontal working way up, and then I would split that in the center, and I'm gonna go through, and at the same elevation, I'm gonna create a visual guide based off where I want the layering to start happening in the center. So if my ends are here with my previous section, I'm gonna go above it, and I'm gonna go a little shorter to longer.
Oh, I love
Then I'm
that.
gonna go through same elevation in, little C shape, little C shape, little C shape, little C shape, remove that weight. I'll pull everything down then and make sure that that's looking clean. And
Do
it
you
naturally wants to flip out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
have
go
so many
ahead. What's up?
questions. This is like I
I
said,
know,
I wish
please
I was
go
sitting
away.
in your class. Do you work in like shorter strokes, longer strokes? Does it vary, Andy?
I feel like I work in a lot of shorter strokes. I feel like a lot of the time when I go through to refine it, it's already pretty, not blunt on the ends, obviously, because we're cutting texture into it, but it's still a pretty structured shape.
Yeah.
Just for you as well?
I tend to work in longer strokes, so like variations. I love wispies, and to me,
Yeah.
when I think like wispy, for me, it's like kind of skinnier ends, I should say, and I can always
Totally.
detail those out further. And I tend to work longer strokes with like more wispy, and then I take it back a little bit to bring it a bit blunter.
Nice.
I just finished my fringe section, so you all can see she's getting kind of like that little bit of a whip out. She has these cute little bits that are falling, again, kind of in that eye line, which to me is a total look. You know, I don't know if you've ever had somebody who maybe brings in a picture with like hair in the eye, and then they're like, "Oh, there's hair in my eye. Can you cut it?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah," but she's not going to complain, so I'm keeping those like right in the eye. But having that texture, it at least creates room for movement. So she's not going to have like a wall of hair in the eye. There's a lot of there's room to see through those hairs. I'm about to get. Oh, go ahead.
Just 1 second. My bang section is relatively done. All of this is pretty shaped around the face. But then my third section above here is still part of my fringe, but I go through and add the layering for it initially. So that's what I'm gonna
so
do
you're
right
gonna
now.
layer that right now.
Yep.
Cool. I hope you all are taking notes so that you can tell me what's going on over there.
Right back at ya.
So I on the other hand, I tend to finish out where the fringe connects with like my perimeter, moving towards the back of the haircut first before I move to the top of my head. So the top of that head is going to be, I'm not going to be working on that quite yet. I'm actually going to be finishing out this section, which is going to create kind of like a little bit of a pocket for my fringe to kick out into. And then there is a bit more that will fill in that face frame, but I'm going to start in these kind of like little side bits around the ears first. Now, this is a mannequin head. I know that sometimes we have to be a little bit careful going too short on mannequins because things can kind of spring. But that being said, I think it's really similar to maybe a client who has quite coarse hair. So all that's to say, I am going to continue working with these really long, soft strokes just to create, to keep in with that short to long movement and to kind of guide that hair to hug in rather than stick out. So I'm pulling this out, staying at a low 45, and you can kind of see there's my fringe section. So what I'm going to be doing is aiming for about like midway up that section for that pocket to start.
So I held everything straight up. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're perfect.
I held everything straight up and cut short to long. Where I start my shortness on the very beginning of the crown, that's my guide then for where everything is gonna like waterfall and cascade down the back of the head. So all of this, cut it short to long that way, split it down the center, pulled it straight toward me, refined that short to long, and then again went through in and started removing some weight just initially, and then setting that over top of my fringe. Now I'm
I
going to add a
love-
little bit of product.
What kind of product do you like use? Does it have hold?
Yeah, so I like to use salt sprays or saltless sprays.
Salt
Today
whispers?
with this saltless, without salt.
Oh,
I
I got really excited. Sorry.
No, that would be a cool name of a brand. Just go through. I find that when I add salt spray heavily into a mannequin, it just dries it out more. So I like to go for something a little softer.
Yeah. Did you have anything on me as hair for prep, like that, like while you're cutting?
I did, yeah. I put a little bit of ever oil and a little bit of hair balm.
Cool.
What about you?
I have milk from Reverie.
Okay.
So I have milk, which is just like a super lightweight, anti-frizz, silicone-free leave-in, and then I have a bit of Rake, which is a balm as well, and it has some hold and nourishment, which is great for mannequins since they are, as Andy was saying, pretty dry naturally.
Have you moved onto your side? Sorry, I just see you now.
Yeah, I'm on my sides. So I set up my first little kind of face framing bits to connect to the fringe. Again, super wispy, and I love how these are kind of kicking forward, just aiming like right towards her cute little purple lip that she's wearing today. And now I'm just gonna keep moving back. And as I move back, I am working on keeping these like at a nice soft diagonal back. And I'm gonna slowly get longer, but I'm gonna be working with a really open stroke the whole time. So you all can kind of watch this. So I'm bringing this section out, and you could see with the fine teeth of my comb, I'm combing everything together. There's that fringe. So again, I'm gonna start about midway up that section. So keeping like a really visual guide, kind of almost locking it into my brain. And then I'm going in with short and long strokes as I move all the way down this section. And I'm not worrying about cutting into my perimeter. I really want it quite soft around the face.
You and I approach that very similarly. Actually, I'm about to do the same thing. I think the biggest difference that I'm about to do is I'm working in diagonal back sections as well across the top of the side section. I split it into 3 for this haircut. The first one is where we're going to create those little wispy bits again. I'm going to have the point be cut to the end of the lip, but I do like to exaggerate and pull that with styling to become more cheek huggers and jawline huggers. And I'll show you how I do that. So I go through diagonal back section, pull everything forward. I'm going to create a visual guide that lives underneath the length of the side bang. Go down. Don't be afraid to take off a lot of length. We're going to pull that forward again. And now, as if I were to be cutting a bob, I'm going to go through and take those points off and carve it to the lip.
Oh, I love it. So that's super bold, which I feel like is a signature of your work, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, that's sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do like to find perspective of where soft meets hard while having a very visually textured shape.
Amazing. Yeah, I love softness. I know a lot of people maybe say like, I guess there's this like word out there, right? Shattered. I don't necessarily love like shattered isn't my thing, but softened for sure. I love a real like grown in feel. So I'm almost imagining the whole time, like, how is this haircut going to keep growing in? And I'm trying to like get my client like a few weeks into the cut when they walk out the door.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's where, again, with these longer strokes that I'm using, that's going to give me room to go in a little bit blunter to kind of embolden some of these pieces, refine them a bit, and make them pop a bit at the end, which I would do all dry. So this is my last section. You could see here, I am angling this back so that I'm already meeting what's going to fall into my perimeter in the back. As often as I can, I'm trying to kind of create sections that combine the front and the back of the head. That way I'm not having to work so hard
to get them to live together at the end. The cut or the sections that I'm taking to cut are already helping me kind of mesh these two together. So it's kind of a natural flow.
I just took another diagonal back section above, and we can see if I completely lift it up, you have this undercut detail of that face framing bob moment. And then when you drop this down, we're going to completely ignore the underneath section and disconnect it and go short to long, working way down like I just did. Then with my third little triangular section corner right here, this is going to live into my layering that I already cut for the bangs. So I'm going to pull everything in this section like I were to cut the fringe. And I'm going to create the visual guide based off the center of the brow.
I want to hear that again.
Short.
But I'm sure this will be a replay too. Does anybody else want to hear anything? Hear that again? That's so cool.
It's
I've never seen that section.
Just a little triangle above the head.
Oh, I'm still, I'm still stuck on your first one around the ear. That one was just so
true.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to turn this a little bit so you all can see. Just again, holding everything at a lower elevation. I'm working right to the length, so I don't need to lift up too high. I really want to make sure I'm layering throughout, but the longer we were trying to keep the length, the more I would start to elevate just to preserve that length, along with increasing kind of the breadth of my stroke.
Now I add product in as I go. So I just went ahead and cut the left side. If it's mirrored, it's probably the other side. And then I'm going to replicate the same thing on the other side, starting off with that diagonal back. I like to meet it almost right beginning at where the previous section from the bang was, where I left off around that hairline. And then I go back to like right behind the ear. On these, I do like them to be a little bit thicker, just because it's mannequin hair, and so I'll take it bigger, past the ear.
I like that you bring that up. I still tend to work in relatively thin sections, maybe about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch wide, just because I'm really wanting to put in a lot of texture and remove weight throughout each one.
Yep.
And truly, like, this is just like with my vision, I tend to be able to keep closer track of my guide and just feel a bit more comfortable working through at my own pacing at smaller sections.
I've seen people cut shags before where it's like very large sections. I think I take like a happy medium between the two of them. I think when I have the detail work that I really want to show off, that's when I'll like kind of section into a smaller piece. But then for the back length, I feel like they're pretty bigger sections. Going through right here, ear to mouth. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're perfect. So like Andy was saying, I do like to add a bit of product throughout as well. That way the client, while they're looking in the mirror, they can kind of start to watch their hair dry, see what the texture is doing, and just get an idea of maybe how easy this sort of haircut can be to style. Additionally, on the back end of this, I do intend to be able to do some dry detailing, and I like to do that more so to their natural texture rather than, flat ironed or blown out perfectly. I want to be able to see how things are grouping together and kicking, and then I'm going to do my details based off of that. So I'm going to use a little bit of a salt-free texture spray. Salts can be great if the client maybe has quite fine hair or they're not worried about dryness. But for me, again, I just want soft movement. I want natural texture, and I want products that I can layer on really easy without having to worry about things drying out or getting like too thick or goopy. That's a technical word, right? Goopy?
Goopy, I love it.
Yeah.
I love that we're using the same products today.
Yeah.
I also have a really similar approach to you as well when it comes to cutting to be able to grow out well and to work with someone's natural texture. When someone sits down in my chair, that's what I really hope to be able to bring them is a good weight between they have to get like a full haircut again. And then also something where they get to see, as I'm cutting the front and I prepped everything, they get to see exactly its styling itself without having to overwork it.
Yeah, styling should be fun, right? So it's like if they ever
Agreed.
want to put in a little bit of extra work on the day to day, just for versatility and just being honest, like if your hair is doing something funky that day, like what's another tool you can have to make it actually do what you want? So just reminding the clients to be present with their hair too as they are working with it at home. So I know we have kind of a shortened segment today, and I'm doing my best to follow along with what Andy's doing. So I just want to let you all know I'm going to be skipping this underneath section for now. So we're going to be leaving this at full fullness. I'm going to skip to the top because what I really would prefer to show you is going to be some of my dry detailing, because I work about 50-50 with my scissors and with my razor. Half the time when the client's coming in, I may actually end up just cutting their hair based on how they came in that day with it air dried naturally. So I really want to show you all some of that. I am going to do, though, a quick layer on top, just an inversion, so bringing everything to the center and taking kind of an independent guide to length based on the fringe. I'll kind of keep them in the same family, but I don't need them to connect perfectly. I always have room on the back end with my detailing to bring a little bit more connection between those points.
Have you always worked in a 50-50?
You know, for the first part of my career, I worked almost completely dry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Me too.
when I started, you too?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
That's crazy.
I was scared to cut hair wet for the longest time, I'm not gonna lie. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't see it, blah, blah, blah. I can't read the density. And that's, I think, why I wanted to learn straight razor work so badly, to be honest with you. I was like, I feel like when the hair is wet, you can see things in a different way. I can see how cowlicks are popping. I can just see things differently. And I can also like encourage the texture in a different way that I can't when it's blown out smooth. So that was just a big goal of mine. And about 5 years ago was when I finally picked up the straight razor and then put it down quickly because I cut myself badly.
Yeah, that's why I use a feather. I was similar. We've never talked about our backgrounds, but we have a very similar background. It's kind of crazy to me because I was really taught heavily on dry cutting focus. Okay. And all of the bangs that I was cutting at that point in time was dry. And I didn't love the results that I was getting. So it wasn't until maybe 6 years ago, maybe 5.5 years ago, where I was like, okay, I just need to fully like not be afraid to dive into what cutting a bang with wet hair would look like. And that's kind of, it's funny because now that I feel like people say that that's what I like to do a lot. It came from a place of not knowing how to do it. So just focused on that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's what education is all about, right? Is like actually learning new things and not boxing ourselves into the things that we're doing just because they're all that we know how to do, right?
Right.
And I think like I'm super visual and I'm also very much like a listener. So I love listening to how different educators that I admire, you know, how they talk about hair. And I think I personally just kind of got stuck in this rut at the, you know, those first 5 years of like, I can only see what the hair is doing when it's dry. And I think that was just like maybe a little bit of a lie I was telling myself, but I was like, you know, I think that there's enough incredible wet hair cutters out there that I can I should be able to learn this too. I just needed to find the way that was inspiring to me, and that was razor cutting.
Same here.
So
I'm
yeah,
gonna cut the. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna cut the very back section pretty quick.
Cool.
And then, because I really want to talk about how I introduce the crown to the layering that I do in the front. So for these very back sections, I'm just going to take diagonal backs, over direct it forward, match it to where my shortest piece of the layering of the length was, and kind of create a diagonal in that shape.
Super cool. So I am still working in this back, like kind of rounded triangle section, and truly just bringing everything to the middle. I do tend to stand on my client's left side for this the whole time. So this is where, you know, back in the day when I was first maybe doing an inversion where everything had to come to one middle point, you know, I would switch to the other side. But just in terms of good body positioning and being kind to my wrists, being kind to my body, I've learned how to keep track of my distribution and of my elevation so that I can kind of stand where I need to, where to be nice to my body, but still get that principle down. Because it would just be really hard for me with the razor to stand on the other side and kind of work in an upward motion like this. I don't know if the dynamics at all are different, Andy, with the feather razor, but that's something I'd love to learn from you someday. And I love that you work with the feather razor.
I love that you work with the feather razor as well, Andy.
Oh,
it's
thanks.
Sam.
Hello.
Hello. Wow. Okay. Man, this is incredible. We're all sitting here just like, this is so mind blowing right now to watch side by side, because what I'm realizing is that there's so many different ways to make this cut signature and unique, and watching both of your different cutting styles is so awesome. Yeah, I've never learned a technique with two like master stylists like this side by side. It's really cool.
I forget that we were on. I thought we were just having a conversation.
You guys have been great. You've been teaching so well. Hey, we did have a question come in, Andy. How did you determine your length on top? What made you determine that length on top?
Yeah, so I think it kind of, I work in a lot of visual guides. So when I go through and take this and elevate it up, the biggest thing that I'm keeping in mind is what I want the back to look like. Do I want it to be more of like a fall, kind of like the 60s cascading? Or do I want to go into a little bit more glam rock style where I take this crown and I bring it forward and have a ton of volume up top? So with this, because mannequins, they're sewn, right? I do think it heavily pushes back just a little bit more than some natural scalp would. So because of that, I just wanted to leave it a little bit longer. It's really just a visual guide of where I want to cut the longest piece to the shortest piece, and then I'll just elevate that and kind of create that. I think it comes with a little bit of practice of knowing where I want it to live. Absolutely. Essentially, the shorter I go, the piecier I can get. The longer I go, the more wiggle room or leeway I have.
When I'm thinking through some of the cuts I've seen you do, like when you feature them on Instagram, I'm picturing those two different, like that glam rack versus a little bit longer and softer. Like I totally know what you mean. And so it just creates a little bit of a different weight on top. Exactly. And like where that hits kind of here as opposed to a little bit longer. It's really cool. Judith, I know that one of the things that is an absolute signature for you is all of that fringe work that you're pulling forward right now and you're softening. One of the questions that came in with the razor is, how much work are you doing with the blade horizontally versus vertically, and really sort of creating more detail as opposed to taking out a lot of weight?
You know, I'm thinking of both at the same time, always. Specifically, again, with the mannequin she has quite dense hair, actually. She has really great hair. And because I'm going for that wispier kind of narrowed ends, I am definitely thinking about initially weight removal. And then as it dries and I kind of see how things are moving together and grouping together a little bit more naturally, then I'll really go in and decide, okay, what do I really want to encourage to hang out together even more?
Yeah.
So really good example actually in the fringe right now. So we see this, like, let me actually turn her a bit more. You'll see that. So this tiny little bit here, super wispy, super cute, but also there's like a little bit of an overhang. So now what I'm going to go in and do is work in a little bit more of a smaller stroke and actually just put my comb down for a bit. I'm going to piece all that together with my fingers, tiny little bit of a twist, and I'm going to use a very short stroke and just kind of detail that out the tiniest bit more. Depending on how dry the hair is, I'll either do this with my razor or I may decide to actually wait to do it at the end with my scissors. But one thing that's really important to me is learning to use both tools in a really similar fashion, so I'm not disrupting the feeling that I'm trying to create.
That's a great correlation between those two tools.
Cool. I actually would love to switch to my other mannequin now just to show you all some of that.
Yeah,
region.
I actually
Is
think
that
this
cool?
is a really great transition time. I know Andy is taking off some major weight and length back there.
Yeah, I just went through and moved the crown and to create everything's more connected now.
Yeah.
So when this dries, we can see exactly where this will live.
Man,
and then so I do the same thing. I just sketch the shape while it's wet. Then once I dry it, I go through and sculpt it with my dry refining shears. So I can move to my dry.
Yeah, why don't you guys grab your mannequins that you've done the same look on, but you finished them, you styled them? Because I think we all want to see what that finished look looks like.
Let's see if I can do this. There we go.
Oh man, that's so good. Oh wow. I love seeing them side by side. They're so unique and different. Man, the shorter fringe, the longer fringe. Andy, you really see that. You talked about that bob shape that comes out underneath on that undercut.
Yeah, the little cheek huggers.
That's
my
so
favorite.
Cute. It almost looks like a little like cute mutton chop. I love it.
Like if you just wear them down naturally. I started doing these honestly during the pandemic when people were wearing a mask and obviously still are. But I just loved that if you pull your hair up and you had a mask on, you could have cute little fringy bits that hit right on top of it.
Yeah. And Judith, the volume that you've managed to get right past that curve of the head is just magic.
I love volume.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
The finished looks are incredible, and seeing them side by side and how both of you guys took the roads you did to lead you to this destination is really cool. Yeah. So if you want to just take a second and talk through getting to this finished spot, talk through a little bit of just for a few seconds each on styling and finishing. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So as you saw when I was cutting, I layer the product in as I go. So where we just finished the wet mannequin, I would just set my diffuser around it until it's about 60 to 70% dry. And then I would start manipulating it, trying to build some volume and getting some texture out of it. Now, because I do a lot of dry cutting also, I do brush through it a good amount. So the waves will be curlier when they style it themselves at home. So then I'll go through and dry cut into that and put a little bit of dry shampoo powder, really build the volume up. But I love dry shampoo powder, but the thing about it is I find that it can leave a little bit of like a powdery finish too intensely.
Yeah.
So I'll go through back with my either salt spray or saltless spray and mist on top of that, and then set that with my diffuser, and then the volume stays for a good while. This was diffused 4 days ago and not touched really.
Yeah, and it's still there. That volume's still in there.
Yeah.
Judith, talk through your finish.
I mean, gosh, so similar, which is amazing just because even though we can have such similar approaches, our finishes are totally different.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of making this as easy as possible for my client. So I like to start with a little bit of a rough dry just to remove about 75% of that moisture. kind of at the root, because I personally believe that like where the real magic happens in regards to creating texture is that last like 25 and even that 5% when most of the water is disappeared, and now the hair is just really like flexible and malleable and like ready to take that more polished shape. So a little bit of a rough dry, like I said, with a light balm, maybe something with a touch of hold and shine. And then I'll switch to just my hands, just a diffuser with a light saltless spray as well. And then I'm going to really just get in there and kind of show my clients how they can kind of do this sort of style at home, like on their way to work, while they're having coffee, while they're waiting to log into Zoom, just really natural manipulation, like with their hands. Twisting, playing, just to see what the hair wants to do that day.
Yeah. I mean, both of you two really push towards like expanding and enhancing all the natural texture that's already in that strand. And so I know, learning from both of you, so much of the volume, the detail and the cut comes from not only what you're doing, but it's the natural texture that's already in the hair. Which is super cool, because everybody's got some movement in their hair, you know? Most people do, I would say. And so getting to bring that out is super cool. Hey,
lucky them, I try.
Yeah. Yeah, same. That's why I'm wearing a beanie. Hey,
Same.
Yeah, do me a favor, pull those beautiful mannequin heads out of the shot. You guys step into the shot so I can see your faces for a minute. Yeah. Hey, man, it is so magic to have you two on the screen today. I've loved this, seeing you side by side. This is so good. Judith, we are so excited to do fireside sessions with you in February.
Yes, I can't wait. I can't wait at all. Yeah.
You are also getting ready to launch a big journey for yourself this spring, right?
Yes. Head party is coming on the road. Yeah, I'm taking a little bit of time away from being in one spot behind the chair, and I just want to go out around the country, meet all my hair friends, see some cool places safely, and me and my husband will be coming to a town near you in our pretty cute little bus, kind of a big bus, but yeah, we're going to be making Hair Camp our first like official destination. So thank you all for giving us a reason to finally get out there.
Yeah, well, we're proud of you for taking a big leap. Andy, what can we expect from you this next year? Leading,
you know, I ask myself that a lot too.
Yeah.
You know, we have some things. It's difficult because I'm not trying to commit myself to too many things, especially because I don't want things to be canceled and moved around.
Oh,
so
we
that's
know.
been, so virtual things, I think, are a friend for me for a little while.
Yeah.
I also think this is the year of deciding exactly what I want to do instead of just kind of focusing on everything all at once and just kind of going full steam ahead. A little reflection time for me this year, I think.
I love it. We're all learning so much. Just anybody I talk to who has been at this for a little bit now is just, this is a chance to be inward and reflect and really focus on, you know, where are we headed and what do we want from this year? And so I'm glad you two are doing that. I'm excited to look to you two and what you decide to do, because I think that you just are really thoughtful about those things in your lives. So thanks for being an inspiration to me and the Hair Camp community. Really appreciate you two.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun, Andy.
Yeah, this was so fun.
Nice little hangout.
If anyone who's watching here today does not already follow Judith and Andy, please do so. Their work is super inspiring. Just like all of the educators that you are meeting today on Hair Camp or that you have in the past, they do this because they love people. You know, they're not interested in you convincing you that they're awesome. They want to be awesome alongside of you. So we are just excited that they are a part of our crew and they're doing this alongside of us. If you want to follow along, make sure you follow along with them on Instagram. Hey, if you're hopping on for the first time right now, My name is Sam Hills. I am the Hair Camp Director, and I am excited to be here today because you are at our Digital Bonfire event right now. We are live coming at you from Cincinnati, Ohio at our Hair Camp studio, and we are streaming out to all parts of the world today, whether it's Australia or California or Connecticut, with some of our favorite educators, some of our favorite hair camp people. Hair camp isn't just about hair, it's about heart, and we love connecting you with your heart in a lot of different ways. One thing you can expect from hair camp is that we are passionate about the creative. One of the ways we do that is through music. If you come to hair camp in April, we're going to have two amazing musicians joining us for the weekend. One of them is a band called Motherfolk. They're doing a bonfire show for us on Saturday night. It's going to be off the chain. Another one of them is a sweet friend of mine named Michael Andrew. Michael is an artist here in Cincinnati, Ohio. He's a songwriter, and he actually recorded a really special video for us. So I want to play that for you now as we get ready to learn from two more amazing educators.
Hey guys, Michael Andrew here. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I look forward to joining you in a couple months for hair camp. I have one song for you tonight. It's called You. Hope you enjoy. Let's go to the water. Let's get lost like our fathers. It only gets harder. I'm under the water. Gasping for air, it's pulling me underneath. It's just getting harder, harder to breathe these lungs inside of me. I can hardly speak. Under the current, swelling and stirring right beneath our feet. Gravity pulling us underneath. I'm under the water. I'm under the water. Let's go to the water.
Man, Michael Andrew. That voice. So sultry, so smooth. Michael's going to be joining us at Hair Camp Midwest for all of our main sessions, doing some fun covers and some original content for us. Hey, listen, this next guest, holy cow, she is an incredible friend. love this woman to bits. If there was such thing as hair camp seniors or hair camp legends, hair camp royalty, this sister is it. I love her, and I love what she's doing. She's doing big things, and she has continued to do big things as a hairstylist. She teaches, she inspires, she is the greatest. Ladies and gentlemen, Brianna Cisneros. Let's get her on here right now.
Hello. Hi.
What is up, girl?
Oh my gosh. I am so happy to be here right now. This is like a dream come true. It's been too many years in between hair camps.
Listen, we've been at this for a minute, haven't we?
We have, but mostly you. But
Yeah.
I've gotten to like really just enjoy like the humanity.
Yeah, it's so
real
good.
life humans in the real life places doing epic hair like we've been seeing this entire time.
Yeah. How about Andy and Judith, right?
I love them. I love them in real life. I love them, and I love them as hairdressers, and I cannot wait to like crack open some beers and hang out by the fire and talk about hair.
I know you and Judith have gotten a chance to work alongside each other before.
Yeah, we have. She's taught with me, and then I've gone to her head parties, and we've done some cool stuff like just supporting each other, and she's cut my hair before.
So cool. Brianna, you're out here. You doing this, right?
Yeah, we're doing this.
Come on. Yeah. So,
ready?
listen, you are an inspiration to me and so many people watching right now, because I think what you do is you take this unbelievable level of craft and this unbelievable level of creativity, and you bring it to a place where like people can actually understand it, right? They've got access to it. You do that through all the education stuff you do. You've been working hard on a really cool thing called Renegade Royals, right?
Yes. My pride and joy is my online education, but this year it's going to change a little bit, and there's going to be some more in-person stuff. So I'm excited.
Awesome. I can't wait to see more from that. Okay. So listen, I know people are here to learn hair, and I know they want to learn it from a master like yourself. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to actually give you the screen right now and let you take it away and teach us something pretty awesome. Is that okay?
Thank you, Sam. I'll miss you though.
All right. You know what? I'm going to check back in a few minutes. So
right.
You do your thing and I'll be right back. Okay.
Cool.
All right.
I know. I was a little jealous. I was like, oh, they get to work together. Jude and Andy. It's so fun to have someone on your screen. All right. So this is my beautiful mannequin. I know it's a laptop screen and definitely a little different in real life. But today we're going to focus on coloring the shag haircut. So you guys just got to see those incredible cuts happen and come to life. And now we're going to talk about what areas to emphasize, how to bring out your cut, how to get the most out of just the effect of the texture, the movement, the layers, and where to emphasize that. As you can see right here, we have a bit of a reverse kind of money piece happening. So our money piece is sitting on top of this underneath part. I think this would really lend itself well to kind of like almost like Jude's version of the shag, but I'm going to talk about how you could almost change that to help be something like what Andy had, because he had a lot more layers coming over top. So where you would want to emphasize and where you would want to place those highlights. Okay. So if we pull this away, you can see those are kind of like those front bits, those front areas where she has her little bang extensions, right? So the money piece comes down from the top, the center, and around those little money pieces, and helps to kind of really showcase and create an effect for the cut, okay? And then what we're gonna achieve through here is just that kind of sunset look where you have lots and lots of brightness through the ends. But then as we get up to the layers, you're gonna have more sparkles, okay? Not sure if you can see that, but we'll have sparkles, and then we'll have feathers, and then we'll have that sunset effect and that money piece effect, but in a little bit of a different way. One thing I really wanna emphasize is how it gives it almost a 3D effect, how it lifts the depth actually, and the brightness sitting on top gives you this three-dimensional look of the bangs kind of sitting outside, right, of what's underneath. So it gives tons and tons of depth, which sometimes when you have something that is a little bit more one color, you feel like it's like this incredible haircut, this genius haircut. I'm gonna grab my mannequin. Whoop, but it just like falls a little bit flat. So even though it still looks awesome, I feel like we could definitely take this to greater heights, right? So we're gonna start with this cute little section right here. It's a heart because of hair camp, because of how much I love it. No, I wish that was the truth. It's actually for functionality. So we're gonna start with a heart-shaped section. The first thing that you wanna do when looking for this section is you wanna find center back to make sure the point of the heart is in fact the center. And then through this front part, the reason why I use a heart-shaped section is because I'm actually looking to have everything that pushes forward and actually like sectioned out. So her bang section right here, that triangle shaped section through here, but then it's a heart shape because I'm dipping in a little bit more to add a little bit more depth underneath that bang section. So what does depth do? It creates a backdrop for your highlight. So I'm actually creating even more of a three-dimensional pop and an effect here. So we're emphasizing the bangs around the face. We're emphasizing the blonde here and pushing that forward by adding depth, pockets of depth in the right moments. So this heart is going to actually be my area of most depth on this pattern, this painting pattern that we're going to do. Cool. So the first thing I want to look at with my shag, let me see if I can get her nice and straight for you, is kind of what is my most important kind of focus through the top here. And if I pull her hair back in a little ponytail, I'm always considering the cut. I love cutting hair. It's definitely another passion of mine. And so I'm always thinking hard about how can I take something and it's just like the same as like painting a picture that you've drawn with a pencil, right? So did you draw it with a pencil and it has harsh lines and you want to paint outside those lines a little bit? Do you want to emphasize those lines and sharpen certain areas? And that's what color allows you to do. Do you want to build up that color and create more depth and layer it? So you can really visually kind of start to picture how you could do this on different cuts and what that would mean for you, right? So here we're going a little bit outside of the lines of what I did with the haircut, but in order to emphasize and create the most three-dimensional effect that I can. Now I'm looking at this piece. Do I want to incorporate it or not incorporate it? And I want to incorporate it. So I'm loosely taking a section here that is actually similar to Andy's. So if you think about Andy's sectioning where it was the side and then you section off the top of the fringe, right? So it's a very loose section. That's where I'm kind of painting outside of the lines a little bit, as I'm letting my sectioning be more organic and a little bit less forced. So I'm going to turn her this way towards me, look at her face, see what I want to pick up on the sides here, bringing that forward. And it's about the same right there. Okay, so it's about the parietal, right? Like at the parietal, if not right, kind of just below the parietal. And I'm going to leave these for my next kind of like bang extensions. So now my first section, I'm going to go across the entire front. This is definitely bigger sections than if you've experienced some of my coloring techniques before. This is definitely a lot bigger sections and a little bit more aggressive, but it's still going to be foliage. Okay, so if you guys can see that, awesome. Now this first section, I'm going to pick up a little bit of a weave section over top. Okay, so I want to remember that this is creating some depth in the underneath, but I'm also actually starting. So this is my three-dimensional effect. So I still want flecks of color. Okay, I still want flecks of color, but I also want it to be a little bit lower. So painting it just a little bit lower. Now my baby light section is going to be painted higher than what I want the underneath to be. And my underneath section is going to create a bit of a halo. So a halo effect in the hair, like, is basically that shine line, like where the round of the head is where that shine line would be. So in this highlighted area, I'm going to really fully saturate and then gently blend up. And everything on here is actually being surface painted. So I did mix my lightener just a little bit thicker because I actually am surface painting, allowing there to be a little bit of warmth in a transition area. Cool. So kind of similar to what the girls were talking about. So pick that up, clip it up. And now this underneath part, this is really important to me because it's where I want to start really showcasing that little bit of like a shine line just here through the ends. Okay. So I'm still lightening it, but I'm creating lots and lots of depth in the underneath. You might have to part this off in 2 sections to get any kind of tease on there. But remember, I am going to kind of do a little bit of a root shadowing or kind of a blended surface painted look in the transition area. So you don't have to tease way too much, but the more you tease, the more you're kind of guaranteed some depth in through that area. And because I really do want this to be broken up and have lots of depth, I'm going to tease that area. Now this is the only foil that's going to look like this. I'm going to actually go in, place the hair down on a horizontal foil. Because it's a bang section, I can kind of get away with doing a horizontal foil because otherwise there'll be too much foil down in that base for me to have to deal with. And my painting pattern is going to be in an inverted V or like an A shape. So essentially, when I talk about painting patterns, it's really important to think about, the functionality of the hair, how it lays, where it's directionally makes the most sense for your painting pattern. So the reason I'm doing an inverted V is because she does wear her hair down, and we want that like highest point of brightness to be in the center. Okay. And when you part that off, if she does part it in the middle, now we have 2 diagonal backs. And that's what that creates. So I'm really pushing the product in and then gently surface painting the product up. And just definitely this is like a surface painted moment where I want diffusion, softness, and it to kind of go into this like really pretty cascading color. So I'll double up my foil. And I know foil can be a little bit difficult to kind of, with the shininess of it and all of that when we're doing these digital events, but hopefully you guys can see that pretty well. I did half of a fold and then just folded it in on the side so that I can create her a little bit of a way to peek through that and a way to be able to see while I'm going through. So now after that first section is done, I typically will part this in half because I really want to be able to see like where this diagonal back goes and where this diagonal back goes. Now my last section was a baby light. Okay. So my next section here, I'm actually going to leave some hair out and take a slice, tease it, and we're going to do a heavy diagonal back. Okay. So this whole thing is sliced at a diagonal back. So we've created the dimension underneath. We've created a little bit of the depth. We've kept some of the depth underneath to help create that 3D effect. And now this will be my first kind of heavier diagonal back that's going to marry my money piece, my top money piece eventually. Okay. Just creating some points here of surface painting. I'll double up my foil. Fold, 2 folds on the side. Now my next foil, so there's just going to be 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, going back this way. My next foil, I'm going to create lots of depth, okay? But I want to make sure that I am picking up the hair in the center. So this little piece right here, that kind of like transition into the money piece that lays over top, I'm picking that up, and then 1, 2, just a nice big heavy weave, elevating it with a tease. Bringing that down. And the ones that are a little bit more, I'm going to go pretty strong diagonal back, but the ones that are weaved, I'm going to continue on with like kind of bringing them up a little bit higher than the ones that are really focusing on the ends and on that diagonal back. So now when you're doing a technique for a shag haircut, I'm really wanting to create something that is definitely emphasis on the ends. A lot of times when we're doing hairline detailing and baby lights and highlighting, we're emphasizing a lot here at the root level. But the thing is when you're doing something like this and on a shag haircut, okay, hold that thought. I'm interrupting myself. Well, when you're doing something like this on a shag haircut, you really don't see a lot of the highlighting that's happening on the underneath at all, right? So we're actually working in an opposite with like thinking a little bit opposite about creating more depth, going to like seeing more laying over top. That makes sense. So now my very last section is a really heavy, big section, but I'm holding the ends of it and giving it a really good tease. So now it's a much lighter, softer section with a lot of added depth. And this is where that big, bold money piece is coming into play. So it's going to connect to that one that I picked up underneath. The one that's underneath is a little bit higher. Okay, so I painted it up a little bit higher than what's going to sit on top will be a little bit lower with emphasis on these ends in a strong diagonal back. All right, so I place my diagonal back in. Oh, I'm using the brush that I used to mix the lightener with. There we go. I like this one when I'm placing these strong kind of, you know, shapes in there because I can really draw that diagonal back in and then come back through and break it up with some surface painting points. Cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and sandwich him. Give it a single fold, 2 folds on the side. Cool. And then you're going to repeat the process on this side. I know we're running just a little bit behind, so I'm going to just kind of keep plowing through on one side of the head. But I just want to do a recap that I did a highlight, and then I did that first inverted A at the front. Then I did this one because this is a highlight. Now this is going to be a diagonal back. The next one is going to be a really heavy weave pickup with higher up points. So every time you do a weave pickup, it's going to go higher up than what your foliage section is. The last one is a foliage section that connects to this one under here, creating that nice, pretty money piece. Now, the side we're going to work through pretty quickly. So I'm going to do a diagonal back here in the front, okay? So again, this isn't so that you can really see through highlights here, okay? So whereas a lot of times when we're highlighting longer hair, if somebody has a shag and they wear their hair down like this, we're going to be highlighting these hairs right here. Boop, boop. So the hairs that actually lay over top, similar to the sectioning that you saw, my 2 beautiful friends. They're beautiful. Aren't they beautiful? So we're going to pick up this entire piece that connects to the bang section here, because I definitely want this to be, boom, bold and blonde. We're going to pick up that piece and then a heavy weave pickup all the way across the front, almost reaching through to the other side. This one piece is reaching through to the other side. If you would like to give a little tease, just for some added blendedness, you can through your weave pickup. Anytime you tease when it comes to foliage, you're just reassuring that you have more blendedness, right? So I'm going to hold, if you hold this horizontally from your section, I'm not really doing so much of a diagonal back as I am just painting, getting a really heavy layer on there, bringing it down through the ends, and then utilizing that heavy layer of product that I positioned right there to kind of feather, feather, feather all the way across. So it's a little bit, you can see that was very bold compared to your balayage, really blending it out, because what I want us to do is have maximum impact and lift. And then that little bit of surface painting is just going to create like a very soft transition. So it looks bold with those like stripes because those are the parts that are being surface painted. It really does just give you this kind of variated effect right there. Okay, fold in through the sides, clip this back. Now my next section, this very front section, is kind of like this feather right here. There's this really beautiful feather. So I want the entire feather to be blonde. So even though we have some depth coming from right here, this blonde will kind of connect to what's happening up here, right? So your money piece comes down and connects in through here in the side. So I actually want the diagonal back to be higher up. And I really feel like that's the key with foliage. It doesn't have to be as digital as it looks and feels. I think there can be a lot of just organic thoughts and intentionality through it. It's not about just picking up some foils and some weave patterns and busting out a whole head. Every single client that I do and every single haircut that I do, I feel like is completely unique, or every color I do is completely unique to the haircut. And it's always thinking about how am I telling the end of this story? Highlighting hair, I always say, is like highlighting certain blurbs in a book or sentences in a book. You could basically, if you're really intentional about those areas that you highlight when you're reading, you can kind of just read through all those highlighted areas and get the whole gist of the story, right? And even some of the heart and some things like that. So for me, color is that. Color is highlighting that. It immediately draws your eyes to exactly the story you're telling in the haircut, and for the entire look. It's all about vibe, right? It's all about like what kind of a vibe that your client wants to see. So now this is a very like interesting part. It goes by pretty quickly, okay? But it's all based on the haircut. So when you're finding your heart section here, you're really pulling up the hair that's all short and layered. If you did lots and lots of things to it, it will almost look choppy and like kind of make the hair all look shorter than what the hair really is. So we still want emphasis on the ends. So we sectioned that away. Now this interior part is going to be a transition from where all of that really kind of heavy and more intense blonde is into these transitional layers. So I kind of want to take a look at the haircut and hold the lengths. I don't think you can see this totally, so I'm gonna raise her up a little bit more for you if I can figure out how. I've been working with these things forever and I still fumble with doll heads. It's like, come on. One of these days I'll have it all figured out. So I'm gonna section off her other side just to keep it out of the way, right at the point of the heart. So it's out of sight, out of mind, and then we'll tackle that other side. But I'm really just holding the ends of her hair. I could over direct it forward, just like how I did in the haircut. And then you pull away what that sectioning will be. So this is the area where you know you want to add more depth. And this is the area where you want like that bold impact of brightness to really showcase those ends. Okay, so it almost like gave my little bit like a zigzag parting. You could definitely take this zigzag. You could take it straight across. It really just depends on how the haircut is. So I'm going to just clip this up for now and forget about him. And then I'm just going to take this entire section and split it from up here, right at the parietal ridge, all the way down to the nape. Split it in two. And because we're adding so much more depth, just like Mish was talking about, because you're adding so much more depth, you can really like get away with taking these really nice big sections. So I'm going to do a weave section on top all the way throughout. And this is just going to kind of give me a little bit of that blended out, kind of just like those highs and lows throughout. And I can over direct it all forward so that the majority of the blonde is in the front. If you guys can see that. And I'm going to bring it up just about, let's see, I want it to be higher than what we had before. So I'll bring it up just about to the edge of the foil. And because I'm over directing it forward, you have to remember that now that pattern is a little bit more of a diagonal back once that hair drops down. So just like in hair cutting, when you're thinking about sectioning and where those highlights are hitting, you're going to have a little bit more brightness in the front than you are in the back. And that's why over direction is one of my favorite things in hair cutting, because it feels like magic that you can over direct here and here cut and have, like, you know, this. It's always like such a crowd pleaser, right? Okay, so I'm just going to fold that foil up, clip him away, and take that entire section. And now I really want this emphasis to be on the ends with lots and lots and lots of depth. So I'm holding it way down low. The lower you hold it, the more you'll just have that boldness on the ends. If I don't do this and I incorporate more brightness throughout, it's going to just look like one big chunk of blonde. So it's going to go from very dimensional into just like all like super blonde around the perimeter. And I don't want that. I actually want it to look very much like a sunset. So I'm holding it way down at the end, so it's just tipping. And that's why I'm able to get away with such a massive section. Cool? Because it's really about the amount of hair down here, and that if the product can go all the way through that section and saturate all the way through. And I'm just going to fold on each side and drop that down. Okay, so exact same thing. Because we took a little bit of a zigzag parting, I can already see kind of my highlighted area. Bringing that forward. And these are kind of like basically the connectors from just your tipping, because if you just have the tipping and you just do those foliage sections without having the baby lights, you won't get the same effect of dimension throughout this interior area, connecting the bangs and really giving you more of a three-dimensional effect through the interior of the hair. Okay, so now clipping him up. I love that we have all things represented. It's so awesome. It's like we've got the going darker, the brunette, the balayage, the hair cutting, and how they've all just actually been so complementary to each other. And now with the foliage, it's pretty incredible that that they all just happen to complement each other so well. And really hairdressing is that, though. It's like we're all our own artists and we're all our own creative minds and have our own approaches and about hair and our process and all of that. And we've all broken rules and stretched things and figured things out on our own to get to these end results. And so I think it's so cool to come in and share when it's like we've all also made mistakes and all kinds of learning along the way. And but there's a reason that everything complements each other, because even though we've all come to these conclusions in different ways, we've all come to pretty similar conclusions. Okay, so now that I have this much bolder area, but with that three-dimensional from depth underneath to money piece on the top and emphasis on those ends, now I'm going to do some feathers. So, you know, when you have these little petals in a haircut, this doll head is a little thinner than my other doll head, so it's a little harder to see on her. But if you can imagine, while Jude and Andy were cutting their haircuts, kind of the things that they carve out, and you see these little feathers on the interior as well, and just kind of equally spacing them. So that I see kind of like one here, one here, one here. Now this is going to be extremely dimensional, right? We're leaving so much of that just dimension, teasing. And then you can sometimes like I have so many different size foils that I use. I'll use like short ones, and it all just kind of depends on the sectioning. You could do this all probably in one section on a doll head, but on a person, not so much. I feel like really honoring those little feathers, I don't know, it just does something. It's like you have your own foil. So just taking a standard size foil and cutting it in half lengthwise just gives me like this nice little baby long foil. So I tease it a lot at the root, and I'm literally going to saturate the ends. Saturate, and then feather. And the reason I like these is because it's just kind of saves on foil. I feel so bad when you're doing a million foils and you have so much waste afterwards, and also it's just, like I said, adds so much attention to just that area. And I think, I don't know, I just want to honor my thought process as an artist. And sometimes people like don't see things the way that you do, or don't experience things to the full extent that you do, like a haircut or something like that, where you're just like, oh my God, I'm drooling over this one little piece, or like, I'm like falling in love with this texture right here. And I feel like highlighting and pre-lightening, so you could obviously make this any tone you want. I made mine like a rosy color, you know what I mean? But you can literally, like, you have all of the rainbow of colors at your fingertips afterwards. But when you're highlighting and you're actually like putting in part of the story, it's like you're kind of telling other people what to look at and what to like honor, you know what I mean? And what to like pay respect to and attention to. So this is crazy. This part, Sam, is so ridiculously fast. It's just a heart-shaped section. It's a little bit of a big section, but the more depth that you add through that heart-shaped section, it's almost just like, this is like the end of the story, that everything that falls over top, I just want sparkles. I just want flecks. I don't want like massive feathers. I don't want a massive money piece. So literally I could do this in 1, 2, 3 sections, making sure that my top section is depth, right? And it's just, it could be a small little amount of depth. But now it's not so much, I do want to kind of evenly disperse this. I don't want to like really emphasize, and you could go back in if there's something that you feel really strongly about in the haircut. Obviously, all of these techniques are made to be your own. Like, they're here to give you ideas and to get you excited, but then really just meant to inspire your own creativity. So I'm just going to actually do a double fold because it's such a baby fine section. And these are just baby lights, baby lighting your way to the finish line. And so tiny, like literally when you leave that much hair in between, when it breaks apart and it falls forward, you literally don't know where the sparkles are kind of coming from. But it's really to just kind of tie everything together and tell the rest of the story.
I can already see how it's going to all come together, Brianna.
Yeah?
Especially with that section that you're working on right now. Yeah. And how soft that's going to be as it falls over the rest of the stuff that you did underneath. It's gorgeous.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah. I mean, the way you connected Judith and Andy's cut with what just happened, like if someone's following along today, like there's going to be a lot of shags happening tomorrow and this weekend in the salon across the states, right?
Yeah, don't you think? It's so funny because I'm going to let you guys in on what's being said backstage, because at hair camp, there really is no backstage. There really is no like educators camper. It's not like that. So literally Mish, where was she? Where did she say? It's up here. Meg and Mish said like they already cut like shags on their doll heads.
Right.
And then Jude and Andy were like giving each other, oh my God, that was fun. Like, oh, I love working with it. Can't wait to be with you guys in real life. Can't wait to. And it's so cool because that's really how it feels. It feels like a bunch of people that really love what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, but nerding out on this real level that I feel like there's no other show that really cultivates that kind of like open rawness and like to just come as you are and, you know, be human.
It's the right people. It's funny because what we can see on our end is these backstage, everybody's cameras are turned off.
Yeah.
Andy's literally finishing the haircut on his mannequin, right? He could have stopped and been done. And then Meg and Mish were following along with Andy and Judith, turning their color mannequins into shags. And the whole time you're prepping and getting ready, like it wasn't just getting ready for the shot. Like you were sitting there playing with the hair and like messing with it in different ways. And it really, it's fun to see all the hair nerds hanging out together. So.
Oh, totally. And I think that you are so good at just like getting the nerdiest. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Like the most passionate, but like, I don't know, like we literally could all talk about hair.
Yeah, bring it on. Right. I love it. Well, hey, so, I was, as you were on there, I was on Instagram just now. People are loving what you're teaching. A lot of reposts to stories and people excited about the techniques you're talking about. Yeah, I want to see that finished process.
Yeah. So here's the money piece. So if you can see how that big section, it was the heart, but in front of the heart. So this little like peak right here, that's where, you know, right under that diagonal back was that highlight. So there's the highlight and then the diagonal back that brings it in for the win, right? Like, so it really like emphasizes like those ends and brings it all the way through, like, and tells the whole story of those pieces. And then this is kind of what I meant by like, you don't want it to just be a chunk of blonde from the underneath.
Yeah. Look how soft that is.
Yeah. You really want it to be this like sunsetty.
Yeah. And that's from all those baby lights that you're working up the back of the head there.
Yes. Yeah. So that really just adds these like perfect little like,
that's super
like,
soft.
just ties the story together and just in such a soft, subtle way. Rather than, because otherwise what happens is in those shorter layers is it just stops. Like if you get a big, huge highlight or you like really emphasize an end in those shorter layers, it just stops. So you kind of would have to do that all over the head. In a shag versus like if you're just doing it here and there's not enough color happening underneath, you made the whole shag all about this situation and not so much about the flow of the haircut.
Right, where the shag's magic is really from underneath, right? All that hair that kind of pops out from underneath and
and those feather bits. So you can add a lot more of those too. So those like single painted pieces. So if there's something that's really inspiring you, it lends to the creativity of just being like, I want to highlight you. Now I want you to be like, you know, I want people to see you versus like going in foil.
I love your connection there because every head's different, right? Every hair texture is different. I mean, mannequins somewhat all kind of have a similar hair texture, but like when you start working on a client, everyone's different. So they're going to have different needs. And really what you're teaching today is that you adapt and you bring out the natural texture. You sort of bring out the signature nature of that person's cut and of that person's head shape and of that person's hair texture. I've noticed that theme throughout today, which is Meg and Mish touched on that. Andy and Judith touched on that. You're touching on that. It's really cool to just see how these adapt to every head, right? Like it doesn't just have to be this perfect hair. It can really work in a lot of different scenarios.
Yeah, definitely. And the one thing that I would shift and do a little differently, you could use that exact same technique, but in like Andy's haircut, there was so many layers coming forward here.
Right.
There's this fringe is like a little bit shorter from the underneath.
Yeah.
There's like a little bit more of that weighty, like kind of 70s versus like mullety, right?
Right.
So the way that I would kind of shift what I would do is if you imagine these being more and more layered, you would start your money piece lower.
Okay.
So you would really just look at where that kind of like shine line needs to happen.
Yeah.
So his would be an actual shine line. Like you would actually look at where that shine line is and create that like money feel based on that.
Man, that's such a great thing to remember, because when a client's sitting in your chair and their head is facing that light, you can really see that band on there. And so you're saying use that as your starting point, use that as your guide for where that money piece starts.
Yes.
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
I love it. Bree, hey, you are the very best. Happy anniversary. You and Julian are celebrating an anniversary, right?
Yeah, thank you. It's our 10-year anniversary. We're like actually headed
Heck
off to
yeah.
Mexico like very
I'm so-
shortly after this.
Yeah. Well, thank you for making us a special part of your weekend. That's really exciting. And we are so pumped that it's been 10 years for you too. That's awesome.
Thank you. Honestly, you guys, like I started, so my first job was actually at a camp. And I was like the director, like I was not the camp director, but the rec director of all the games and like all the gross things you eat and all the crazy stuff. And I used to go rock climbing and belaying like down the mountain. And we had these things called mountain boards. And it was some of the best years of my life changing. Like anything on like a campsite or like outside in nature, like filled with all of these passions and things and real life conversations, there's no way your life can't be changed by it. So when Sam first approached me about this, I just want to say one thing. When Sam first approached me about this, I remember being like, it was an instantaneous like, yes, and how often can I do it? Because it was like, it really is exactly the heart of who I hope, like I really aspire to be more like Sam in so many ways. Like, how can I help to continue to cultivate like that kind of community, that kind of a connection, and something that people feel changed from the inside out, but also like have like a skill set to show for it at the end, you know? So hair camp is that. And however often Sam will allow me to come, I will be there.
Brianna, I mean, you just have to tell us no. Like the answer is always yes, and always will you be there. So, and
well,
even when
as a camper, I'm like anything, I'm down.
even when you tell us no, we're gonna keep asking. So, yeah, you're the best. Seriously, like if we could just be represented in just another human, you're a person who does that so well. And so, man, I just grateful for your friendship. I know you inspire so many people. Thank you. Continue to do that. We want to be a support for you and the amazing things that you're doing, and get behind those and be in your corner and cheerlead those things as well, just like you've done for us. So congratulations. Awesome. All right. Well, listen, we're going to let you get off to Mexico, go celebrate 10 years. And we are so excited to see you in just a few months at Hair Camp Midwest.
Awesome. Thank you all. Thanks for letting me be here.
Yeah, of course. Beautiful job today, Brianna. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Yeah, Brianna said it best. Hair camp is special. And if you're a hairdresser and you've been to an educational event, this is not your convention center show. This is not put on all black and your high heels and traipse over to the conference hall. This is summer camp, right? We're at a beautiful camp setting called Camp Joy, just north of Cincinnati, Ohio. And it's 350 acres of summer camp bliss. We've got everything taken care of: bedding, food, all the camp activities, archery, high ropes, canoeing, hiking. If you've dreamt it and you wanted to do it, it's there for you. And we'd love for you guys to be joining us this spring on April 29th, seeing not only Brianna, not only Mission Meg, not only Jules, not only Andy and Judith, and Annie B will be there, and Michael, Andrew, and myself, and the rest of the hair camp team. But also, there's another 7 educators who are going to be joining us, and you can get a chance to learn from all of them. So if you loved the vibe today, if you've loved what you've experienced, there's so much more. Come and experience in person. If you can't do in person, come to one of our Fireside sessions, right? Come to another one of our digital events that we're doing this next year. We've got big things planned for you guys, and we cannot wait to continue what we're doing here today. Hey, listen, connecting all of these pieces, it's one thing to be a great stylist. It's another thing to be a good business person. It's another thing to create good content. It's tough, right? To do it all. That's why we want to connect you with experts. This next guest, and actually our last guest, is named Jamie Dana. And here's the deal with Jamie. Jamie takes your Instagram game to the next level. And we all know Instagram as a tool and an asset to help us grow our dream clientele as stylists, right? You know who you want sitting in your chair. Jamie and her techniques teaches you how to do that. And so I'm really excited to get her on here today. And here's the thing to know about Jamie is that she is a teacher of teachers. She really understands how to take complicated things and make them really simple. Another thing I learned from Jamie is that Instagram does not have to be this fake place that we live and we go into this alternate reality of this fluffed up world. It actually is giving your guests, your clients, and the people that want to follow you what an experience is like to sit in your chair, to be in your salon, to be a guest of yours. It actually gives them that experience for the 6 weeks leading up to their appointment and after their appointment. It really kind of takes the connection of who you are, what you want to say, the values, what are important to you visually, creatively, even what you want people to know about yourself. And it makes Instagram a powerful tool to representing you and your brand well. So I'm really excited about Jamie and the things she teaches stylists. She empowers them. She doesn't make Graham a burden. She actually gives it as a tool and a resource and breaks you free from some of the chains that you may feel from Instagram. This next session is going to be pretty awesome. It's a little workshop that Jamie's going to be leading us through. So I'm actually going to get her on the screen right now.
Hello. Hey. Oh my gosh. I'm so
you?
excited to be here. This has been incredible. It's just been so fun to see all the tags on Instagram and people talking about it. And then being able to watch in the sessions today has just been so cool.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Can I tell these guys a little bit about our story together?
Absolutely. Yes.
So 2020, we were stoked. Jamie was coming to hair camp. We had made the plans. We'd figured out what she was teaching. We gave her all the details, right? It's March. And all of a sudden the sort of surprise, ball drop or whatever it is that was COVID kind of slammed us all. And so we had to go into this figuring out what's next. Jamie stepped in as this unbelievable resource and friend to say, guys, you need to have a digital presence. Let me teach you how to do that. She sat us down. She walked us through how to host a live event, how to make sure our messaging was right on Instagram, how to continue to tell our story. She is such an amazing human being. So whenever she teaches, it's really important because I feel like she's got so much to say, but it comes from an authentic place. So Jamie, thank you for saving our butts.
Oh man. I feel like honestly, no one knew what was happening at that point. And I remember you were one of the first people that called me because I have my own event too. And we were trying to scramble and figure out what to do. And so it's just you were one of the very first people that I talked to about what are we going to do? What's happening? What is going to happen? Little did we know 2 years later, we'd still be here, but yeah. Anyways.
Well, we're going to figure this out together, right? Because we're better together.
Yes.
Jamie, I'm excited for what you're about to teach us. Do you want to set up your segment a little bit?
Totally. Yeah. So most people know me as the Instagram expert person in the industry. And today I kind of wanted to shift a little bit of what we're going to talk about. We'll touch on Instagram, but I think what's more important to talk about right now, because we're at the start of a year, is how to set ourselves up for success in this new year. I think that it's really easy to get very overwhelmed right now as we've started a new year and just kind of how do I set goals? How do I look back at last year? How do I look forward to this next year? How do I kind of set up a plan? And so I'm going to be kind of walking you guys through how to do that and hopefully take away some of the overwhelm that maybe you're feeling right now as we're getting back into a new year, as we've had this first week. I know that it can sometimes feel really overwhelming. So kind of want to walk you through that and set some goals and plans for this next year. So yeah.
Hey, bring it on. We want to learn from the best. I'm going to go ahead and give you the screen.
Great.
And you can take over. Okay.
Awesome.
I'll see you in a little bit.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you guys for being here today. The fact that you're here investing in your education to me shows that you are a different part of the industry. You're somebody who is investing in their education, taking time out of your weekend, your day to be here. Even if you're watching this on the replay, I just want to say thank you for tuning in to all the incredible education that we've had today and staying till the end. So today we're going to be diving into kind of looking back at 2021 and planning for 2022 in so many different aspects. To me, business is really important in it as a hairstylist, as a salon owner. And I think it's not talked about quite enough. And so I just kind of wanted to help you guys set the stage for what could be in 2022. As we know, we've had a really difficult last 2 years. I talk to people all the time and I'm like, I think our industry got hit so much harder than other industries. Obviously, so many people have had a really rough 2 years, but our industry's really been hit hard, whether you were shut down for a couple months or 7 months. I know my salon was shut down, In and Out being in California. We were shut down for almost 7 months. And it has been just really challenging. And then I know on the other end of having to hear your clients talk about it and be in your chair and process through their feelings and emotions while you're processing through your own, it can feel like a lot. And so as we say goodbye to 2021 and kind of step into 2022, how can we set ourselves up for success? How can we make sure that we truly have businesses that bring us joy in life? And that the career that we have is the path that we want to be on. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today, is not just setting goals, not just setting resolutions, not just picking a word for the year and moving on, but how do we continue to build a business that we love and that brings us joy in our life? So one of the things that I'm going to be going through today is actually a workbook, a guidebook that I created. It's called the New Year Guidebook. At the end, it's a free resource. I'll show you guys how to get it. But there, I'm extracting questions from that guidebook to ask you today. And so today is going to be less of me teaching at you and more asking you the questions and hopefully helping you determine what last year was and what could be for this next year. So I do have some slides because I'm a visual learner. I love to be able to just get in there, read things as well. So what we're going to do to start out this workshop is we're actually going to be looking back, because I think what's one of the most important things is, in order to be able to move forward, we first have to look back at this last year. And for me, I'll be 100% honest, this last year was a really hard year for me. I've had a lot of things in my personal life come up, things that I haven't shared online yet, but just a lot that's gone on this year. Really challenging things in my company and in my business, different team members coming and going, different things, goals not being hit, goals being missed. And it was a really, really challenging year for me as a human and as a leader, as a business owner. And I have a feeling that that's probably maybe where you're at too. Maybe last year was an incredible year for you, but I know for a lot of us, it was a challenging year. And even within that, how can we look back? How can we pull out the wins, the successes, the things that didn't go right? And how do we kind of step forward into this next year? So the first question that I want to ask you is, what worked in my business this last year? Again, this is part of the workbook. So if you are somebody who wants to write things down, wants to journal, I'll share with you guys how you can get that at the end. But what worked in your business this last year? What were the things that worked, from maybe your scheduling, maybe the revenue that you created, maybe different services that you added, maybe it was education that you took, maybe it was the strategy that you had on Instagram. I know for me personally, one of the things that really worked in my business this last year, but mostly in the last 6 months, was I actually pulled back from Instagram. I gave myself permission to not have to be on Instagram all the time. If you followed me for any capacity in the last couple of years, you know that I was consistent on Instagram. I was always there, and I still am consistent, but it looks a little different. I'm giving myself permission to not have to be on Instagram stories all the time, not have to show up perfectly, not have to show up in a certain way. So for me, that's something that's really worked in my business. So I want to ask you, what is something that really worked in your business this last year? And if you're a note taker, you can maybe just jot a few things down right now. But again, if you want to get the guidebook, you can do this later too. I think that this is a really important question to ask, of what worked, and on the flip side, maybe what didn't work in my business this last year. And I think that this is also a really important question, because it's helpful to know what worked, right? But it's also really helpful to know, hey, what didn't go according to plan? What were things that might need to be adjusted and shifted in this next year? And I think this question is something that so often we don't necessarily sit down to look at until it gets to the point where it's really bad. I know for me, when I was working in the salon, there would be all of a sudden a day where I'm like, I'm so frustrated. I'm so burnt out. I'm so over this. And a lot of times it was because I didn't ask the question of what's not working. And if we can ask ourselves the question of what's not working, then hopefully we don't get to that point of like just the blow up point where you're like, I'm over this. I want to quit. I'm done. I can't deal with this client anymore. I can't deal with doing this service. I can't deal with X, Y, and Z. And so by asking this question, we can now make adjustments and shifts so that hopefully we don't get to that point, and hopefully we can get there before we hit that breaking point. So what didn't work in my business this last year? And what were some of my biggest successes and celebrations? For me, I used to look at my business as kind of black and white of like, I hit this goal or I didn't hit this goal, or I made this amount in revenue or I didn't, right? And so a lot of times I looked at it so black and white. And I think so often we forget to celebrate the small things too. So I really want to ask you, what were some of the big successes that you had this year, big rocks that you had? One of those things could be, oh my gosh, I got this amount of new clients, or I learned this new technique, or whatever that might look like. There might be some big rocks in your year of successes that you had. But I also want you to reflect on and ask yourself, what were some of those smaller celebrations too? What were those little things in between? And I also want you to look at this not just from a business perspective, not just from things that happened to the salon or big moments that happened in your business, but maybe some personal wins too. I'll be honest, in the last 6 months, I have changed a lot in my personal life. I actually started to do improv comedy. I got involved in a theater locally here, and it's been so amazing for me. And I would say that this is one of my biggest successes and celebrations this year of learning a little bit more about me as a human being, learning a little bit more about Jamie, not Jamie Dana, the Jamie that you guys see on Instagram, like the human being Jamie outside of my business, outside of being a CEO, outside of being a stylist, learning more about me. So I want you to ask yourself, what were those small wins and celebrations that you had throughout the year? And let's celebrate those, because it is so important. I think so often it's easy to just be like, yeah, I hit that goal, or yeah, I did that great thing. And we don't really celebrate that. We just move on to the next thing. I know for me personally, my type of personality is, oh my gosh, I hit that goal. Now let's move on to the next. And I don't take time to process, to celebrate, and just be grateful for the celebrations and successes that I did have. So I want to ask you, what were those successes and celebrations that you had throughout the year? And I want you just to take a moment to be grateful for them. As we move on, I also want to ask you, what were some goals that he didn't hit, or things that changed this past year? As I did my reflection this last year, or just actually this last week for 2021, there were a lot of goals I didn't hit. The beginning of this year, I set some massive goals, and I came into this year with so much optimism of like, this is going to be my year. Like, yeah, 2020 was rough, and oh my gosh, it was so hard, but we overcame, and 2021 is going to be even better. And to be honest, 2021 was actually a backstep year from things like revenue. Our team actually got a little bit smaller. There were things that did not happen this year that I thought were going to happen. And at the end of the day, I'm really grateful for those things. I've grown, I've changed, I've had things come up that I wasn't expecting. And it's important to celebrate those successes, but it's also important to recognize, hey, things didn't happen, and that's okay too. And to not beat ourselves up over the goals that we didn't hit or the things that adjusted and shifted. Because I think so often, you've heard this, time is a construct, right? Like we think like, oh, we just close one year and we start another one. And once we do that, it's a fresh start. And yes, that's true. But we also have to give ourselves grace. And I think with everything, when it comes to just even looking forward to another year or reflecting on a past year, giving ourselves grace and empathy for the things that we did do and the things that had to adjust and shift. And that's okay too. And so this has been something that I have been working on, of giving myself grace and kind of coming into this new year with open hands of like, okay, what do I have what is available for me? What opportunities do I have? And just allowing those things to come into my life. So I want you to know, if you didn't hit goals last year, if things changed this last year, that's okay. It's not shameful. It's absolutely 100% okay if things shifted and changed for you. So as we move on to this next year, that was looking back. Now, how do we plan for this upcoming year? Because one of the things that's the most important is we want to set ourselves up for success by planning to have a direction to actually hit, those big goals. It is so important to have things to work towards. And I think having a direction that you're moving in is so cool. So I like to call this intentional planning. I think that, again, you hear the buzzwords of setting the word for the year, or, setting some resolutions, or just setting some goals. But how can we be intentional about setting those goals so that we can actually hit them? So what is the most important goal that you want to focus on this year? I think it's really easy to have 10 goals, or to have all these things that you want to try to do. And while I love it, and I think that is really great, I think that it is important to have one priority. There's a book called Essentialism that I love reading. I pretty much read it once a year, by Greg McKeown. And he basically talks about, we have this word priority, and the word priority does not mean priorities. Priorities in and of itself is actually not even really a thing. It's, we as a society have said we have multiple priorities, but priority is a one thing. And so if we can think about our goals in that way of yeah, you can have multiple goals. And in fact, I do, and you should. But what is that one most important goal that you want to focus on this year? And with that, why? Why do you want to focus on this goal? Why do you want to accomplish this goal? I think that is so important, not just to set a goal, but actually understand the why behind it. So when you're setting goals, when you're setting the direction that you want to move in towards this year, why? Why do we want to accomplish that? Is it because maybe the things that you discovered this last year that weren't working, you're going to shift, and maybe your goal is to do, maybe take less clients this year because last year you felt so burnt out. That is your why as to why you want to set that goal. Or maybe you're like, you know what? I really want to open up my own salon suite. And the why behind it is you're not having a great time at the salon that you're at, or it's not a good fit for you anymore, or you've grown beyond that. And so you're like, hey, I want to do this instead. So why do you want to accomplish that goal? And I think asking the why is a really important part of the process. Now, this question is one of my favorites that I always ask this year is, what brings me the most joy in my business? As we're talking about goals and, a direction that we're moving in, a lot of times those goals, we're asking the why, but a lot of times those goals can sometimes be, well, I want to do this because I see other people doing it, or I think that should be my next step. And I really want to help you connect with what is bringing me the most joy in my business. And on the flip side, what's not, right? So maybe for you, posting on Instagram doesn't bring you the most joy. Okay, well, how do we now create systems so that you're not having to post all the time, so that you're not having to do the things that don't bring you the most joy? Maybe for some of you, doing extensions brings you so much joy in the salon, but you don't have a full extension clientele, or you're still taking other services that don't bring you joy. So I want you to ask yourself, what brings me the most joy in my business, and how can we move towards that? And on the flip side, does the business I have currently bring me joy? And if not, why? And if so, yes, why? What is that? And how do we adjust and move towards the things that bring us joy? I think for so many of us this last 2 years, one of the really good things that has come out of this entire situation is a lot of us are getting realigned with what actually makes us happy. And so, does the business I have, does it make me happy? If so, why? What is that? How do I move more towards that direction? And if not, what needs to change and adjust if I'm not having joy? So that's the next question. What adjustments need to be made to change that if needed? Like I mentioned, maybe for you, it's changing up your schedule. Maybe for you, it's letting go of a few clients. Maybe for you, it's adjusting your pricing structure, or adjusting where you're working at, or just taking a different direction in your career. Maybe for some of you, you want to go into something like education, not just working behind the chair full time. There's so many different paths that we can take in this industry. And so I just really would love for you to get clear on what brings me the most joy, what makes me happy, what lights me up when I wake up in the morning. What am I excited that I get to go do every single day? And so asking yourself those questions and implementing those adjustments. And I want you to know too, as you start to ask this question and even ask what adjustments need to be made, it can sometimes feel overwhelming of like, okay, I'm frustrated in this area. This adjustment needs to be made, but how do I do that? I want you to know it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time and it takes intentional planning to get there. So for me, I actually stepped away from working behind the chair full time. I had done this slowly over time as I became deeper and deeper involved in education. I went from 5 days a week down to 4 days a week, down to 3 days a week. And I couldn't just change my schedule overnight. It took time to adjust my schedule, to adjust my clients back to that schedule. And actually in 2018, I decided to step away from the chair fully to go into education full time. And that did take time. It took me 3 months to kind of close down that side of my business to step fully into the other side of my business. And so I just want you to know, if you're feeling overwhelmed by that, it takes time. It's okay, but you can start taking small steps to get there to really create that business and life that you love. By tracking your goals, plans, and dreams, it helps you have a better guide to go from and see how much you've grown. So I really want to encourage you to really document, like, what's the word I'm looking for? To document the process, document your goals, document your plans, document the direction that you're going in, and track those things. Again, I'm going to give you guys the link to the guidebook here in a second, but by being able to document those things, it helps you be able to reflect back every single month, reflect back throughout the year. But at the end of the year, you're able to really see how much you've grown. And I think that that is something that is such a gift that you can give yourself. Every year, I love looking back over year and seeing how much I've grown, not even just from a business perspective, but from a human perspective, how much I've changed, how much I've learned, the goals that I set years ago that I never thought were going to happen. And now seeing those realized and being able to celebrate those successes, being able to celebrate those wins, being able to just celebrate the journey that I've been on. So my encouragement to you would be, if you have not sat down to track those goals, to track the progress, to maybe journal for some of you. Maybe that is the way that you track it, but document the journey. I promise you that it has been so helpful. And even in those years where you don't hit the goals, even in those years where it felt like it was such a heavy year, you're still able to see the growth that you've had. And that is something that is such a gift that you can give to yourself. So my encouragement to you would be, absolutely track those things. Sit down to take time to just plan it. And I always love to just get away. I work from my office. This is my office here. But I love to take time out. Maybe it's a half day. I'll go down to the beach or go to a coffee shop or go to a co-working space just to really get out of your normal environment. And this has been something, I call it like a planning date for myself. And to me, this is truly part of self-care for me as a human, and also for my business as a leader. So really want to encourage you, if you haven't done that, that this is a great time to really do it as we start into a new year. So again, if you want to check out that New Year guidebook, it's totally free. It's a resource that I've created a couple years ago. We fully updated it this year. You can go to jamiedana.com/New Year. It's also in the link in my bio on Instagram. But I really would encourage you to get it. There's a lot more questions in here, but if you are, it's like 23 pages. But if you are a journaler or just even somebody who wants to reflect back on this last year and just really plan for this new year, I know that it can feel overwhelming. And so being asked those questions is really helpful just to make the process super easy. And yeah, I'm excited. So thank you again, Sam, for having me, for everybody here for tuning in. I hope that this was helpful. I know that this is just a quick little workshop to kind of get you started, hopefully get you motivated, ask those questions. And just get you pumped up for 2022, right?
Yeah. Bring on 2022, man. Okay. So here's the deal. My my wife and I, every year, beginning of the year, we get away and we do a planning retreat.
I love that.
And we've been doing it for like 7 years now.
Yeah.
It has fundamentally changed the trajectory of our year. And so I'm just sitting here listening to you teach, and I'm like, if you can just take that same principle and you apply it to your business, I mean, what a massive impact that makes, right?
Absolutely.
So,
like I said, this is something that I've been doing probably for the last 7 years as well.
Yeah.
And it transforms the way that you look at things. It transforms the decisions that you make. It transforms just everything that you do in your business as a leader and as a human being too, right? Because I think it's so important just to have that reflection time, but also have that time to vision and plan for what is going to be.
Yeah. And I think what's hard is I think we get words like dream and vision and like we sort of get them thrown at us and they're ambiguous. What you're doing through this workbook, like that everybody at Hair Camp now has access to because of you. Thank you. Is that like, there's a framework to dreaming, to planning, because I think there's the connection between just having like an idea of where you want to go. And, it can feel overwhelming, stressful if it just stays out here. But if you just put action steps to those things, man, you can accomplish really, really incredible goals.
Absolutely. And there's actually a worksheet in the book that shows you how to break down a big goal, because that is one of the things that I think holds us back, right? Like, I have this huge, massive goal. Like, how the heck do I even get there? Where do I even start? And it just feels so overwhelming. And so often we don't get it done. So there's literally a worksheet in there. You can print it out as many times for as many big goals you have. It helps us kind of break it down of like, okay, what is that big goal? What's the next steps to make it happen so that you actually have tangible steps to start the process. And that has been something that has been massively helpful in my business when you have something that just feels so unattainable. Like, where do we even start? Okay, what's that next step? So absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we are all on a journey, right? We are all a part of this story, and we need guides in our life to get us to that next step, right? To call out those things in us and help us sort of formulate and identify those things. That's what Jamie does. She is an incredible guide that teaches you how to get from that stuck place, that lack of clarity place, into your potential, into bigger things. Don't be overwhelmed by trying to say, I'm going to do big things and then not know where to start. Take the next step, follow Jamie's advice, download the workbook, right? Do the thing she's asking you. I promise you, if you just challenge yourself with a little bit of discipline and do that exercise, you'll be shocked at the big things that come out of it. So,
thank you.
Jamie, man, this is so good. Hey, I love the little shout out you give mid-session about improv.
Right?
Yeah. We've been trying to convince Jamie that to maybe do a little improv at camp. So if you want to see Jamie on stage doing her thing, you need to come to Hair Camp and hang out with us.
Absolutely. I'm like literally so excited. In fact, when it got canceled in 2020, I was like so devastated because unlike Bree, I've actually never been to a summer camp ever. And I've seen it in movies like Parent Trap. And like as a kid growing up, I'm like, I want to do that so bad. And so I'm like now as an adult, like almost 30 years old, going to summer camp for the first time. I am so excited. Just to connect with everybody, to connect with the other educators, but to really just like be able to be in person again. So pumped. And then of course, all the summer camp things, like you were saying, all the little things that we're going to be able to do. I'm like so down.
It's going to be
excited. You have no idea. Yeah.
It's as awesome and as ridiculous as you hope it will be.
I literally cannot wait. Like so excited. Yes.
Awesome. Jamie, it is always an absolute pleasure. Man, thank you for doing your thing. Thank you for teaching stylists how to step into just bigger potentials. Like it's the next right step. Your advice is the next right step. So can you do me a favor and continue to do that and do that for our industry?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Well, listen, thank you for being here and have an incredible rest of your Sunday.
Thank you. You guys too. Thank you all for being here, for tuning in. And again, staying till the end.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are amazing for staying till the end.
This is the cherry on the Sunday right here.
So
Jamie, Dana.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Jamie. Have a great day.
Bye, guys. Yes.
Jamie is a class act. And that's the thing. Like we all need people that are guides for us, whether it's a great teacher, you know, like Judith and Andy or Brianna, Meg Mish, whether it's a friend that sees the best in us, maybe somebody who just brings out that humor like Jules, whether it's inspiration. Jamie is one of those people that can just take what feels overwhelming and big and give you a step-by-step guide to getting you there. So, she does that with Instagram. She does that with planning. She does that, but I mean, follow her stuff. She's here because we trust her. And if you trust us, you can trust Jamie. She's good people. So yeah, listen, today has been an absolute blast. It's been a blast for me and the Hair Camp team because we've worked so hard to get to this point. Not just today about Digital Bonfire, but about Hair Camp in general. Hair Camp is way more than just an education event. It's a heart event. It's a mind event. It's a hand event. We connect all those things and we bring them together in a way that allows for you to see the best in yourself and step into that potential. So we believe in you. We believe you're here today watching this because you want something more for yourself. Come on this journey with us because we want something more for us. We're headed that direction. We need friends to come with us. We've been apart. Listen, it's time to get together, right? And we want to do this as safely as possible. We take COVID at the highest degree of seriousness. We will have plans and policies in place to make sure that all of you feel safe at your hair camp experience. But we want to get together again. And we want to do that because we know that humans connecting with other humans is so important. That's what it's all about. So listen, April 29th, Hair Camp is going to be live, Hair Camp Midwest. Come get your tickets. We know tickets will sell out. Last year, the first year we did it, we sold 250 tickets. Those sold out. The next year we did it, we sold 350 tickets. Those sold out, although we didn't get to have the event. The tickets sold out, and all of you got a refund. And this year, we know without a doubt, we bumped that number from 350 back down to 250 because we care about safety. We care about making sure that we're doing this the right way. So we have less tickets available than we did even the year before. That's not enough tickets to cover all the people that want to come to Hair Camp. We want you there. More importantly, we need you there because the things that you've got, we want to learn from and grow from. Listen, I am Sam Hills. I'm the director of Hair Camp. It has been an insane pleasure to be here today, talking to you guys, hanging out with our educator friends, and just learning about hair and about each other. So we want you to be a part of what we're doing. Come to Fireside Session, get your Hair Camp ticket now, and we will see you very soon.
We are shifting the conversation. We are changing the game. We are finding something beautiful. We are cultivating community in the unlikely of spaces, like in a chair or a campground, outside the small towns and big cities. This is so much more than just about hair. This is about heart. This is about realigning your heart and your hands, putting in the work, stretching your craft. See, this is the place you come for encouragement, your cup overflowing kind of experience, so that when you leave here, you can give and pour all over again, and allow yourself the space to rest, but only to fuel yourself so that you never give up this work, this fight, this diligence in your craft. You came here to learn, to laugh, to sit and listen, share and exchange, to rest and unwind. This is a place that you have full and complete permission to be yourself. So let your hair down. Maybe even literally. And welcome to Hair Camp. Come just as you are. Come undone.